Welcome to Infinite Novel Audio. Subscribe, and enjoy this video. Chapter 26, Acquiring the Immortal Herb. Three women take a fancy to Song Yi. In the original plot, during the early stages, every time Zhu Zhuqing heard Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun talk about affairs between men and women, she would express obvious disgust and loathing toward Dai Mubai. Therefore, the initial Zhu Zhuqing also detested lectures and detested the way Dai Mubai messed around with women. Some people might say, didn't Zhu Zhuqing mention that a man shouldn't fear being romantic, but he should fear being dissolute? This shows that Zhu Zhuqing approved, as long as Dai Mubai didn't degenerate. Regarding this viewpoint, I can only quote a line from Tiger King, "You are farting." In the early stages, were those expressions of disgust and loathing from Zhu Zhuqing just an act? Why would she say such things in the late stage? It was nothing more than being puaed by the people of Shrek. This is also the reason why Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing completely turned into accessories later on, because both were puaed by the Shrek team. When they were at Shrek, the people around them, from Flender to Yuzairogang, were all brainwashing them, making them prioritize the team, abandon their individual selves, and contribute to the team. As a result, the two women slowly lost their sense of self and felt that they should do anything as long as it benefited the team. Gradually, when looking for men, their thinking became limited, and they could only look for men within the team. This is why they accepted Oscar and Dai Mubai. In reality, are there no other men in this world besides these few? Look at Feng Xiaoroshan next door. He is devoted, has character, talent, and comprehension ability. Is he not better than those beasts from Shrek? Or Yu Tianheng from the Heaven Du Imperial Academy, who is quite devoted in his love for Du Guyan. Although he is just a supporting character, he at least appears better than a lecher like Dai Mubai, right? If one is willing to explore, perhaps there are many men with little screen time who are far superior to the men of Shrek in terms of character, emotion, and talent. Unfortunately, the three women, having been puaed by the Shrek team, don't even know what the world outside is like. They have completely become frogs in a well. This is the most tragic part about the two women. Even after being fooled into becoming tools for venting desires, they still think they have found peerless good men. The conclusion of the sharp critique on Zhu Zhuqing's view of love is exactly this. A person who has been brainwashed and manipulated is not worthy of talking about love. If you want to truly find so-called love, try looking at men outside of Shrek first. In summary, this woman is completely a fool. Sharp critique finished. Song Yi felt a bit helpless after writing this. After all, Zhu Zhuqing had too little screen time, and there wasn't much to critique. Saying it was a sharp critique of her love life, besides scolding her for choosing Dai Mubai, what else could he say? He finished and stopped. In the room next door, Song Yi scratched his head. This is the shortest critique so far. I hope the reward isn't too bad. In another room, the three women were almost exploded with anger after reading the critique. Ning Rongrong pointed at the light screen on the spot and cursed. Damn it, how did this light screen drag me into this? Didn't I already finish being critiqued? Zhuqing, this light screen is clearly targeting us. Xiao Wu was equally indignant because she had also been mentioned a few times. Only Zhu Zhuqing was mentally prepared. She just sighed twice and finally explained with a bitter smile. Forget it, at least this light screen isn't wrong. We were indeed brainwashed by Shrek to become like this. If it weren't for the reminder from this critic, I would have almost forgotten my original goal. Zhu Zhuqing looked at the blank wall with some confusion, muttering to herself. Rongrong, Xiao Wu, do you think we should follow the light screen's reminder? Even if we really want to find someone, we should look at men outside of Shrek, right? Men outside of Shrek, Ning Rongrong fell into thought. She had been a princess in the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School since she was a child and had never seen any normal peers of the opposite sex. This was also one of the keys to her being deceived at Shrek. Xiao Wu shook her head without thinking too much, but upon hearing Zhu Zhuqing's words, Song Yi's face flashed in her mind involuntarily. Xiao Wu guessed it was because she knew too few people, and she had absolutely no interest in that so-called Song Yi. Currently, she still maintained basic trust in Tang San. In the light screen comment section, many people saw this and reached a common conclusion. Du Guyan, I see it clearly now. These women are all related to Shrek, or rather, they were all harmed by Shrek. Duguyan, what kind of forbidden land is this Shrek? Once women go in, they become love-brained and have to be digested by their internal men. That's too scary. Bing Bing is polite. Indeed, it can be seen that this Shrek can be called a major tumor of the continent. Even if I want to find a partner, I must find a real man who treats me well and has strength, not those trash who can't do anything. I am an orphan, Shrek. It seems this place really doesn't need to exist. I can make a note of it first. Charming fox, I am an orphan, who are you? What's the use of making a note? You wouldn't happen to be someone with a high position and power, would you? I am an orphan, none of your business. Inside Spirit Hall, Juliana smacked her lips, feeling strange. Although she couldn't see the true identity of this I am an orphan, she always felt it had something to do with her or Spirit Hall. And this person was right, an academy like Shrek really didn't need to exist. It was full of Bibidong's enemies. She had to further remind the Supreme Pontiff to take action against Shrek sooner. Inside the hotel, Song Yi felt slightly relieved as he looked at the reward appearing on the light screen. Not bad, this reward is decent. Because this reward was a direct increase in strength, written as congratulations on completing the sharp critique task. Reward obtained, spirit power increased by 2 ranks. Although the rank increase was not much, it saved Song Yi a lot of time, so it was definitely not a loss. It's just a pity that the rewards for these sharp critique tasks are still not too exaggerated. If I want to rely entirely on rewards to pile up my strength, it will take a lot of time. Song Yi continued to think, tomorrow is the 5th sharp critique task. I wonder if there will be extra reward bonuses for completing an integer task. Now, among the 3 women of Douluo, only Zyro Wu is left. Could it be her tomorrow? I can prepare in advance and strive to improve the quality and word count of the critique to increase the reward. After absorbing the 2 ranks of spirit power brought by the reward, Song Yi still had to cultivate hard. The system could assist, but he could not completely lose his own initiative. He shouldn't let go of the effort he needed to put in. Time passed quietly in the silence of the late night. Early the next morning, around 6 o'clock, the 3 women of Shrek had already woken up. The 3 of them woke Song Yi up and headed directly to the 7 treasure glazed tile school. After arriving at the sect, it was just as Ning Rongrong had said. She went in first to mention it, and relying on her special status, she forced Sword Douluo and Bone Douluo not to lay a hand on Zyro Wu. Afterwards, Sword Douluo took Ning Rongrong and the others to the Sunset Forest to find the so-called Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well. Chapter 27, Dugubo, Go Test Your IQ, Claiming the Treasure Land. Although the Sunset Forest is not as vast as the Stardew Great Forest, it is still significant in size, making it vast and difficult to navigate for spirit masters. Not to mention searching for a small location like the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well. Song Yi walked at the front, acting as a guide to explain the situation, followed by Zyro Wu, Zhu Zhuqing, Ning Rongrong, and Sword Douluo Chen Xin, who kept his hands behind his back with a calm expression. Song Yi advised, Your Excellency, the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well is located deep within the Sunset Forest, surrounded by a ring of poisonous mist. If you spread your mental force to search, it should not be difficult to find. Chen Xin did not answer whether he would do so. He merely stroked his beard casually and said indifferently, It had better be. If we cannot find it, and there is no Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well, then we cannot evolve Rongrong's spirit. You brat, and this 100-year spirit beast, even if Rongrong tries to stop me, I will not let you go. Do you understand? Song Yi nodded, not wanting to argue back. He was here to get the immortal herb anyway, so he didn't care. Only Zyro Wu was very nervous and afraid, standing behind Ning Rongrong. She was taking a huge risk with this action. If not for her trust in Ning Rongrong, she might not have even left the Stardew Great Forest. Hearing this, Ning Rongrong said with some annoyance, Grandpa Sword, why are you speaking like that? You've scared Zyro Wu. If you do that again, Rongrong won't like you anymore. Sure enough, it took her speaking up. Once she made her attitude clear, Sword Douluo Chen Xin immediately lost his original arrogant posture and turned somewhat ingratiating. Rongrong, what are you doing? Isn't Grandpa Sword trying to intimidate them for your sake? A 100-year spirit beast is, after all, a spirit beast. Grandpa Sword is just afraid that something might happen to you. That still won't do. Zyro Wu is my friend, not one of those spirit beasts. Ning Rongrong remained haughty like a swan. Chen Xin eventually gave in and smiled bitterly. Fine, Grandpa won't say anything more. I hope you haven't deceived Rongrong. If anything really happens, even if I have to risk my life, I will protect Rongrong to the end. He snorted coldly, but still released his mental force and began leading the group deep into the forest. As a titled Douluo above level 95, although Sword Douluo specialized in slaughter, his mental force was equally exaggerated. He could perceive everything in the surroundings with a single thought, covering a vast range. With Song Yi's reminders to prevent them from taking the wrong path, sure enough, it only took about an hour for the group to find the so-called poisonous mist. This was a huge, thick space of grey poisonous mist, as if these mists were shrouding it, forming a special protective cage. The area of the poisonous mist was very large, and Chen Xin hurriedly released his mental force, focusing on inspecting the interior. After observing for a moment, he was indeed somewhat surprised and said with astonishment, "Inside the poisonous mist, there is indeed a strange spring. One side is extremely cold water, and the other is extremely hot pulp, with lush medicinal herbs all around." "Brat, is this the ice and fire yin-yang well you were talking about?" Song Yi heard this and was overjoyed, quickly confirming, "That's right, it is indeed the ice and fire yin-yang well. All around are various immortal herbs and spiritual plants, which are of great benefit to people. As long as we find that silk tulip, we can evolve your family's Ning Rongrong's spirit." Upon hearing this, Ning Rongrong and Chen Xin's eyes lit up. This was their goal in coming here, and Chen Xin said, "Then hurry in." "Sure, it's just," Song Yi replied, preparing to give a warning. But before he could waste any more words, a shout suddenly came from the next moment. "How bold! How dare you covet my medicinal garden? Who is here seeking death?" The voice came from afar like a booming bell. Less than half a second after the voice fell, a dark green figure quickly arrived. The person who arrived had snow-white hair and beard, wore a long robe, and was old but vigorous. It was none other than the famous Poison Douluo of the Heaven Du Empire, who was also the one who had discovered the ice and fire yin-yang well first. However, after Poison Douluo descended, Chen Xin also made a move. "Well, you old poison, you dare to question me here." Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, Chen Xin immediately released his aura, and the sharp sword Kai raged in all directions, almost cutting down many flowers, plants and trees. Poison Douluo Dugubo was stunned when he saw this and stopped in his tracks. He took a closer look and realized that it was actually Sword Douluo Chen Xin of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. "Oh, so it's Sword Douluo. I was wondering who was coveting my medicinal garden here. I didn't expect it to be you." "HMPH, but even if you are a titled Douluo, it isn't right to barge into someone else's territory or even covet someone else's private property, is it?" Poison Douluo knew he couldn't beat Chen Xin, and he could see that Chen Xin and his group's target was the medicinal garden, so he could only try to reason with them. After all, Sword Douluo was known for being upright and cared about his face, so he should be able to be persuaded. Sure enough, after these words were spoken, Chen Xin indeed didn't know how to respond. He fell silent, seemingly preparing a rebuttal, because Song Yi had reminded him earlier that this ice and fire yin-yang well was in Dugubo's hands. If it weren't for Dugubo, they wouldn't have needed to seek help from the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. However, did a titled Douluo need to step in for something like reasoning? Song Yi was always there commenting behind the scenes. Could he be weaker than the other party in a verbal argument? Seeing Dugubo speak, he immediately retorted, "What's not right about it? Dugubo, what kind of twisted logic are you spouting here? When did this ice and fire yin-yang well become yours?" As soon as he spoke, he hit the main point, leaving everyone present stunned. Chen Xin looked at him in confusion. Dugubo's face was even gloomier, and the remaining 3 women also didn't know where Song Yi's words were coming from. Dugubo said coldly, "When did it become the turn of brats like you to interrupt when adults are talking? This medicinal garden has long been held by me, how could it not be mine?" After speaking, he looked at Chen Xin. Chen Xin stated, "This young man is a friend of our school's young lord. Old poison, you must give some face." Song Yi continued speaking, "Why is this medicinal garden not his?" He knew Song Yi had a point, and could take the treasure legitimately. Song Yi continued, Poison Douluo, let me ask you, whose is this sunset forest? Douluo was stunned, his eyes narrowed, and he answered with some vigilance, it is naturally ownerless land, if you must say it counts as belonging to the Heaven Dew Empire. Then since the sunset forest belongs to the Heaven Dew Empire and is ownerless land, anyone can enter. How then can the ice and fire yin-yang well within it belong to you personally? The ice and fire yin-yang well and the immortal herbs within it are naturally born and nurtured by the earth. No one created them. You Douluo are at most the person who discovered it first. How can you talk about being the owner? Let me ask you again, did you pay to buy this land? Or did you have a hand in the formation of the ice and fire yin-yang well? Or have you cultivated the immortal herbs and spiritual plants inside? Don't tell me you haven't even watered those flowers and plants. The land doesn't belong to you. The flowers and plants have nothing to do with you. You haven't cultivated the resources either. You are telling me now that the ice and fire yin-yang well is yours. Do you take us for fools? Douluo, go test your IQ first. Chapter 28, Distributing Immortal Herbs, Song Yi becomes the boss. Song Yi's string of arguments left Douluo stunned. Good grief, he had only let Song Yi speak out of respect for Chen Xin's face, but he hadn't expected that what he said would be so hard to refute. Although he was indeed the first person to discover it, he could not be considered the owner of this herb garden, neither legally nor morally. At most, he was the first person to eat the crab. Before there was a definitive conclusion, this herb garden did not belong to anyone. Douluo felt a bit awkward on the spot. You brat, you've got a sharp tongue. Seeing this, Chen Xin also nodded. Initially, he had only brought Song Yi along because of Ning Rongrong. He hadn't expected this boy to be so quick-witted and sharp. He was no ordinary person. He was very satisfied and spoke to Douluo as well. Old Poison, stop saying these useless things. Tell me, is there anything wrong with the logic this boy just stated? If you had actually bought this land, then according to the law, we would not dare to intrude. But if you don't actually have the authority, then talking about who the herb garden belongs to here is pointless. Since we've discovered it, we naturally have the right to enter. Hearing this, Douluo knew he had to accept his defeat today. What Song Yi said was only supplementary. The main point was that Chen Xin was here, and he couldn't beat him. Treasures of the world belong to those capable of holding them. Before, when Douluo kept this herb garden hidden from others, it was hard to say anything. But now that other titled Douluos had seen it, how could he keep it? Never mind that other titled Douluos were reasoning with you. Even if they didn't reason and just robbed you outright, that was very common on the Douluo Continent. Douluo sighed deeply and said helplessly, fine, let's just say whoever sees it gets a share. Since you have come here, I cannot enjoy this herb garden alone. Sword Douluo, you must have come prepared this time. I cannot win this argument. But I must be clear, no matter what, I was the first to discover this herb garden, and I need it. You can take whatever herbs you want from here, but you cannot completely monopolize the garden. Otherwise, even if my strength is insufficient, I will still fight you to the death. Speaking up to this point, Douluo did not show complete weakness. He still expressed a firm attitude where necessary. There was no other way, because he was plagued by the poison of his own spirit. If not for the ice and fire yin-yang well helping him suppress the toxins, he probably wouldn't live much longer. Those immortal herbs and spirit medicines didn't matter. Douluo couldn't use them anyway. The main thing was to keep the environment that saved his life. Chen Xin heard this and looked at Song Yi with some confusion, asking, what do you think? Song Yi thought for a moment, understood the other party, and said to Douluo, Poison Douluo, others may not know, but I do. It is useless for you to need these immortal herbs and spirit medicines. In reality, what you need is the ice and fire yin-yang well to suppress the snake venom in your body. How about this? I will teach you a method to transfer the snake venom, protecting yourself and even saving your granddaughter. It won't be a waste of us getting this treasure land, and it won't be lacking in favor. When these words came out, Douluo was immediately astonished, fearing he had misheard something. You brat, what did you say? How did you know about my? Song Yi smiled and said, "This little matter, what is there to be surprised about? As long as you are willing to yield the ice and fire yin-yang well, I can ensure the complete safety of you and your descendants. That's 2 lives. It's you." Good, Douluo hadn't expected such a turn of events, if his life and that of his granddaughter Douluo Yang could be saved. What ice and fire yin-yang well, what immortal herbs and spirit medicines, what else would he need? Life was the most important thing. He agreed immediately, and even took the initiative to send Song Yi and the others into the ice and fire yin-yang well later. Arriving at the treasure land, feeling the pain of extreme cold and extreme heat, Zyro Wu and the others were a bit scared and uncomfortable. Song Yi stated, "It's fine, there are 2 titled Douluos guarding us." Zyro Wu was very surprised on the side. "Song Yi, you also understand poison. Can you really solve Douluo's problem?" Song Yi nodded. "Anyway, just following the method of Tang San from the original novel would do. The main principle was just to transfer the snake venom to the spirit bone. As for the other details, Douluo was also a master of poison and could handle them himself." After listening to Song Yi's words, Ning Rongrong and Zhuking on the side were both surprised and delighted. The 2 girls quickly asked Zyro Wu, "Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio." Zyro Wu, "Where on earth did you find this person? He seems quite impressive." "Yes, he's so young, not much older than us, yet he is knowledgeable and has a special aura. I imagine his spirit master rank isn't low either. If this kind of person doesn't count as a scumbag, he feels much better than those few people from Shrek." Influenced by the previous light screen, Zhuking and Ning Rongrong were now very interested in men from the outside world. They would subconsciously take a few more looks at anyone better than the Shrek men. Song Yi hadn't known them for long, but he had already displayed complete knowledge and quick-wittedness, and he knew to repay Douluo, which showed his character wasn't too bad. As long as his spirit master rank was strong enough, no matter how you looked at it, he was countless times better than those scumbags from Shrek. Hearing this, Zyro Wu looked at Song Yi from afar, also thoughtful, and muttered to herself, "Indeed, in him, it's like seeing little San from back then." The little San from back then also understood many principles and knew how to get things done. It's just a pity that now little San. Thinking of this, Zyro Wu sighed lightly again. She shouldn't say too much. Chen Xin and Douluo waited on the side, letting Song Yi identify the immortal herbs and spiritual plants. Because in the original Douluo work, the appearance of those immortal herbs had been described. Some were described in the first part, and some in the other parts. In short, according to the original text, identifying the immortal herbs was not difficult. Douluo looked forward to Song Yi helping him and his granddaughter detoxify, but at this moment, as a titled Douluo, he also discovered the anomaly of Zyro Wu being a 100,000-year spirit beast. He wanted to ask, but Chen Xin directly indicated, "Don't ask what you shouldn't. Old poison, you'd better stay out of how the 7 treasure glazed tile school does things." Douluo nodded, not intending to muddy the waters. His strength couldn't beat the other titled Douluos, so he'd better behave himself. Afterwards, Song Yi found all the needed immortal herbs and pointed at them one by one. "Zyro Wu, this plant is the yearning heartbroken red. It can only be plucked by one who holds deep love in their heart. I don't care who you have in your heart, you must focus on plucking it, constantly recalling your love, and only then can you succeed." Seeing that blood red and white immortal herb, Zyro Wu was a bit nervous. Hearing Song Yi speak, she had already thought of Tang San. However, for some reason, perhaps because of the influence of the light screen, or perhaps because of the comparison with Song Yi, Zyro Wu was momentarily dazed and began to doubt Tang San again. However, so-called love is often not a permanent, unchanging state. As long as the moment of plucking the flower is filled with love, that is enough. Whether there were problems before or after plucking the flower, that was not important. Zyro Wu began to pluck the yearning heartbroken red. Song Yi continuously assisted on the side, mentioning some of Tang San's good qualities and Tang San's care for her, letting her temporarily forget Tang San's shortcomings. Sure enough, Zyro Wu still had Tang San in her heart for now. In an instant, the yearning heartbroken red had been plucked and lay quietly in Zyro Wu's hands, just like a sleeping beauty. After plucking the flower, I will sharply critique Zyro Wu and make her leave Tang San. Dear readers, rest assured. Right now, she just needs to pluck the flower. After plucking the flower, who would still want you, Tang San? Love, where is their eternal love? In the real world, isn't love all just phase-based? Chapter 29, Body Tempering with Ice and Fire. Chen Xin and Douluo Dalu are shocked. Seeing Zyro Wu successfully pluck the yearning heartbroken red, Songyi finally breathed a sigh of relief. Next, he still had to provide the immortal herbs for the others. Both Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong were talented individuals, even if his acquaintance with them was forced. However, befriending them would be beneficial for his future development. They might even become his henchmen. Songyi continued to find an immortal herb and said, "This Narcissus Jade Muscle Bone is also an immortal herb. It can clear the 8 extraordinary meridians. Consuming it will make up for the deficiencies in your talent, allowing you to become a top-tier genius." "Zhu Zhuqing, you take this." "I have one too." Zhu Zhuqing was a bit stunned, not having expected this. She wasn't Ning Rongrong, who had agreed to invite Sword Douluo and pay with immortal herbs as compensation, nor was she like Zyro Wu, who Songyi clearly had a relationship with. She hadn't expected that even though she barely knew Songyi, she would actually be given an immortal herb. For a moment, Zhu Zhuqing felt touched. It had been a long time since anyone had cared for her without seeking anything in return. Songyi explained, "Just consider it making a friend. You three are a team. I cannot favor one over the other. I will call you Zhuqing from now on. Let's be friends, what do you think?" This, Zhu Zhuqing swallowed involuntarily, even feeling like crying. She had been pured in Shrek for too long and suffered every day. Dai Mubai claimed to like her, yet he did nothing. He wasn't even as good as Songyi, whom she had just met. He started off by gifting her an immortal herb, just to consider her feelings. Zhu Zhuqing's eyes welled up with tears, and she could only express her gratitude. "Thank you." After she took the immortal herb, Songyi continued to instruct Zhu Zhuqing on how to consume it, just as in the original story. Finally, he plucked the silk tulip and gave it to Ning Rongrong. Ning Rongrong had no burden in her heart and accepted it very readily. She also expressed, "Songyi, from now on, you and I are friends. Thank you, if you need anything, call me. I have the 7 treasure glazed tile school." "All right, consume it." Songyi smiled bitterly. These 3 girls were really, but it was fine. Now that he had the favor of the immortal herbs, he could consider himself to have established preliminary connections. These 3 women would sooner or later become his people. If nothing else, he could reveal some of Shrek's dirt to them later, and they would defect. Songyi didn't know that the 3 girls already knew quite a lot about those dark secrets from his sharp critiques. At this moment, Douluo Dalu asked with some confusion, "Kid, since you can identify them, take a look. Is there any herb suitable for this old man? What if this old man can still advance further?" Songyi replied speechlessly, "No. These immortal herbs are generally for consolidating the foundation and nourishing the essence. They have almost no effect after level 40. Your body has already set. What external object could possibly change your foundation and roots?" Douluo Dalu was immediately embarrassed and sighed, "Fine, that makes sense." Chen Xin chuckled from the side, "Old poison, you really are greedy. Regardless, the poison in you and your granddaughter can finally be solved. That's not bad. We have already reached the titled Douluo realm. What external object could change our state?" Douluo Dalu nodded without speaking, simply accepting the reality. Meanwhile, Songyi walked towards the center of the ice and fire yin-yang well, preparing to follow Tang San from the original story and perform the body tempering with ice and fire. His spirit was the tree of life, possessing endless life force. If he could complete the body tempering as well, with his powerful physique and life force, no one would be able to kill him. He had gotten immortal herbs for the 3 girls, why wouldn't he want some for himself? His agreement to come with Zyro Wu was actually just hitching a ride to get immortal herbs for himself. Anyway, one person can eat at most 2 or 3 immortal herbs, and the rest have to be given to others. So coming together counted as cooperation, and he made a huge profit. Seeing this, Chen Xin and Douluo Dalu were somewhat surprised. Chen Xin spoke first, "Brat, what are you doing?" The damage inside that ice and fire is immense. Have you gone mad? Douluo was equally surprised. He hadn't looked for a moment, and what was Songyi doing here? However, before he could speak, Songyi quickly explained, "It's fine, you two. They all have immortal herbs, so I certainly cannot miss out. These two immortal herbs must be consumed simultaneously. I'm fine, just wait." The two titled Douluos were stunned. Could the two herbs in this spring water also be eaten? Weren't they cold poison and heat poison? Wouldn't eating them kill someone? But they didn't know as much as Songyi, so it was hard to say anything rashly, and they could only watch with concern. Songyi immediately activated his spirit and unleashed two spirit abilities simultaneously. Light of Life, Horn of Life. A powerful boost descended upon him. An endless life force surged like a water pump, continuously providing Songyi with recovery and protection. Even the ice and fire yin-yang well could not harm him for the time being. At the same time, because his two purple spirit rings were exposed, Chenzin and Douluo were startled on the spot. Enning Rongrong and Zhuzhuking were focusing on absorbing the immortal herbs and didn't see it, but Chenzin and the other could see it clearly. This is a 1,000-year spirit ring. Good heavens, how is this possible? The first and second spirit rings are already 1,000-year ones. Good lad, I thought Rongrong had found some commoner from somewhere, but I didn't expect him to be such a genius monster. First and second 1,000-year spirit rings, this is unprecedented, never seen before. Isn't this too terrifying? As titled Douluos, the two were considered well experienced, yet this was still the first time they had seen someone start with 1,000-year spirit rings. Chenzin couldn't help but be shocked, sighing repeatedly. Douluo was surprised to the extreme, thinking it was no wonder this child was young yet knew so much. At a glance, he was clearly not an ordinary person. It was only at this moment that both of them truly understood that Songyi was a hidden monster. They had never heard of him before, and now, for some reason, he had been discovered by the three girls. Chenzin even began to ponder, such a genius, if he could be recruited into the 7 treasure glazed tile school, wouldn't it allow the sect to advance further? No wonder Rongrong threatened to die for that spirit beast. I fear part of the reason is because of this Songyi. It would even be best to take this child as a son-in-law, wouldn't that be perfect? On the other side, Douluo was also muttering, "Sigh, Douguyan usually fools around with that Yu Tianheng, and I've always felt it wouldn't work. Although the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan is powerful, their atmosphere is not good, which has always troubled me. Now that I've actually seen such an exaggerated genius, what if I introduced him to Douguyan? If the two were to marry, wouldn't that make my family completely prosperous? Such talent must not be let go." Previously, the two had somewhat overlooked and even ignored Songyi, treating him only as a smart youth who understood pharmacology and had a quick mind. Now they realized that he was not just smart, his own talent as a spirit master had reached the limit. Once he grew up, he might even become a powerhouse not inferior to a Limit Douluo. After all, even Limit Douluos didn't have 1,000-year first and second spirit rings. Plus, feeling the powerful aura of Songyi's spirit and his endless life force, they could both tell that he was a genius among geniuses. The two titled Douluos had already begun thinking about how to get their little granddaughters, namely Ning Rongrong and Douguyan, to attract this monster named Songyi. Chapter 30, Connecting New Goddesses, Sharp Critique of Zyro Wu. Songyi was completely unaware of what the two titled Douluo outside were thinking, nor did he care. Anyway, his focus was on becoming stronger. Women were merely side quests that could be kept, yet they were not worth spending too much effort on. Arriving in the water of the ice and fire yin-yang well, Songyi didn't say a word. He exerted all his strength to resist the terror brought by the extreme cold and heat, then forcibly plucked the flaming apricot and the octagonal mysterious ice grass. Following the example of Tang San in the original work, he swallowed both immortal herbs simultaneously, sank into the water, and slowly absorbed their medicinal properties to undergo body tempering. As for the pain and discomfort, Songyi could still endure it. After all, he was mentally prepared, and with the protection of the power of life, there wouldn't be any major mishaps. Just like that, seeing that Songyi didn't seem to have any major issues, Chenzin and Douluo were finally reassured and waited patiently. Time ticked by. Ning Rongrong and Zhuqing completed the task of absorbing the immortal herbs. Xiao Wu had been focusing on the two girls and had no mind to care about anything else. Anyway, she had long known about Song Yi's 1,000-year spirit ring, so she wasn't surprised at all. After Ning Rongrong and the others absorbed the medicinal power of the immortal herbs, their talents were enhanced and their spirit power increased. Both of them improved by nearly 6 or 7 levels. Especially Ning Rongrong's spirit, which had already evolved into the 9-treasure glazed tile pagoda. Upon seeing this, Chenzin was even more excited. It is as expected. Rongrong, your spirit has completed its evolution, and you are no longer restricted. From now on, the fate of the 7-treasure glazed tile school has finally changed. Ning Rongrong was equally excited. Looking at the 9-treasure glazed tile pagoda in her hand, she said happily, "Does that mean I might also be able to cultivate to a titled Douluo?" Grandpa Sword, hurry, we must thank that Song Yi. If it weren't for him finding the immortal herbs, how could there be such a breakthrough? Chenzin was stunned for a moment, then reacted and nodded. Indeed, we must thank him. However, this kid is also consuming other immortal herbs, so we should wait. Rongrong, just now while you were absorbing, I saw that this young man's first 2 spirit rings had already reached the 1,000-year level. And his spirit is a top-tier existence. This young man has extraordinary talent, and with the immortal herb enhancing his potential, you should befriend him in the future. What 1,000-year spirit rings, and the first 2? Ning Rongrong was somewhat incredulous upon hearing this. How is this possible? Who could withstand the first 2,000-year? However, at this moment, Xiao Wu spoke up to explain. It is indeed true. Both of his spirit rings are 1,000-year, and his spirit ability is even more exaggerated. I suspect he only has 2 rings now. His cultivation progress is not as good as ours, simply because it was difficult for him to hunt spirit rings alone in the early stages, wasting time. Really? Zhuqing was surprised from the side. Xiao Wu, where did you find this person? He is too terrifying. Xiao Wu gave a wry smile, met by chance. In any case, Song Yi is still a good person, and he can indeed be a friend. At the very least, he is better than those people from Shrek, right? Ning Rongrong and Zhuqing absolutely agreed. Having seen enough of the arrogant and unbridled playboys like Oscar and Dai Mubai, looking at Song Yi now, he was truly pleasing to the eye. Chenzin was very satisfied. It would be best to push his own Rongrong over. It would be wonderful if the two could get together sooner. On this side, the 3 girls waited along with the 2 titled Douluo, while on the other side, Song Yi's body tempering progressed step by step. Another period of time passed, and it was already evening. Song Yi finally completed his body tempering, achieving the power of immunity to water and fire. If he had the corresponding fire attribute and ice attribute skills, he could even achieve ultimate fire and ultimate ice, but unfortunately, he did not have these 2 powers for the time being. Returning to the shore, Song Yi was refreshed. The 3 girls took the initiative to greet him and express their gratitude, and even felt a bit shy upon seeing that Song Yi had no clothes on. Chenzin threw some clothes to Song Yi. Finally, they exchanged greetings, and he also invited Song Yi to join the 7-treasure glazed tile school. Song Yi indicated that he would consider it further, dragging it out for some time to think it through. However, for the time being, the group decided to return to the 7-treasure glazed tile school to stay. Douluo Dalu had taught them the detoxification method, and they just needed to complete the requirements properly themselves. After returning to the 7-treasure glazed tile school, Song Yi and the others enjoyed a sumptuous dinner. Ning Fengzhai, having heard what Chenzin said, valued Song Yi highly and invited him again. After finishing their meal, Song Yi went to his temporary residence, his mind on today's sharp critique task. However, in another room, at Ning Rongrong's strong request, the 3 girls stayed together. Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Zhuqing were also waiting for today's sharp critique. Xiao Wu was a bit nervous, thinking, will it critique me today? Rongrong, Zhuqing, what do you think would happen if my spirit beast identity were discovered by others? Ning Rongrong took the initiative to comfort her. Xiao Wu, what are you afraid of? In our 7-treasure glazed tile school, with Grandpa Sword and Grandpa Bone here, who could hurt you? You just need to stay well in the sect. However, what I am more worried about is, Xiao Wu, what if the light screen critiques you and it also relates to love, and it says something bad about Tang San? You. Having said this, Ning Rongrong did not continue, but the meaning was clear. Zhuking was equally worried. That's right, Zyro Wu, Dai Mu Bai is easy to see through, but Oscar hides it deep. What if Tang San is the same? We are afraid you won't be able to accept it. Upon hearing this, Zyro Wu looked at the yearning heartbroken red in her arms. To say she wasn't nervous or afraid would be a complete lie. Yet, the reason she wanted to return to the human world was precisely for Tang San. Even because of this, she had plucked the yearning heartbroken red full of love, which was also proof of her love. If the sharp critique mentioned problems with Tang San, and she couldn't accept it, then would there be any meaning in staying in the human world? Should she, or should she not, continue to look for little San? Thinking of these things, Zyro Wu couldn't help but recall the time when she had spoken ill of Yu Zyrogang, causing Tang San to get angry and rebuke her. Zyro Wu doubted in her heart, could it be that, to little San, I am really not that important? But back in the Stardew Great Forest, he did indeed disregard his life to come find me. At this moment, she had fallen into hesitation and wavering. Just then, while she was deep in thought, the sharp critique began, and the light screen lit up slightly. The three girls quickly opened it, and found that this time the title was as expected. Please provide a sharp critique of Zyro Wu's love. When this title appeared, Zyro Wu's heart instantly skipped a beat, and she became panicked. Critique my love, does that mean there is really a problem with me and Little San being together? Zyro Wu didn't even dare to look. Only Ning Rongrong and Zhuking held her hand, hopping for the truth to be revealed. At the same time the title appeared, a new message that surprised them popped up. This sharp critique is the 5th sharp critique. The number of connections is starting to increase. Welcome Hot Girl and Needle-Tailed Swift to join the connection. Hot Girl, what is this? Damn, why is there a light screen thing? Needle-Tailed Swift, what does connection mean? Can I speak and also see others speaking? Hot Girl, also, why is there a line of text floating on the light screen? Sharp critique of Zyro Wu's love. Who is Zyro Wu? It wouldn't be me, would it? Chapter 31, Night Raid on Shrek, Supreme Pontiff BB Dong explodes. In the Blazing Academy. Hua Wu touched her chin, looking at the light screen in front of her, feeling very confused. Her name was Hua Wu, was the Zyro Wu in the title her nickname? That's not right, no one has called me Zyro Wu since I was a child, she muttered. Speed Clan. Bai Chengxiang was sitting on the bed, wearing a light purple camisole, using a comb to smooth out her twin tails. The light screen appearing in front of her made her very confused. However, after she spoke, someone responded. Duguyan, a newcomer, actually arrived. Does this mean every round number critique has a chance to invite a new connection? Most loyal believer of the sea god, at Needle-Tailed Swift, at Hot Girl, there is an evil existence like Spirit Hall in this connection. I suggest you be careful with your words and not leak personal information. I am an orphan, at Hot Girl, does that mean there is a Wu character in your name too? Bing Bing is polite. Oh my, since we have a newcomer, I should explain so they aren't confused. This is actually a special connection light screen, every night it. Shui Binja was relatively kind and didn't have much scheme, so she took the initiative to explain it clearly to the two newcomers. Sure enough, after listening to the introduction, both Bai Chengxiang and Hua Wu understood roughly. The two were also very surprised that such a mysterious existence existed in the world, and the critic knew everything. Especially after hearing that the Supreme Pontiff BB Dong of Spirit Hall and some Grandmaster from the theoretical world had been critiqued before, the two women were even more terrified. So are they critiquing Shrek's Zyro Wu now? Hot Girl, understood. This light screen can even give us pointers. I wonder if there will be us in the future. Needle-Tailed Swift, it should depend on whether one is worth critiquing. Someone like me doesn't seem to have any points worth critiquing. Anyway, let's watch first. The two joined in and chatted with the others. Most of them were young women, so they had common topics. 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. Only Zyro Wu and the other two had no mind to care about the newcomers. Zyro Wu remained nervous, focusing only on the content of the critique. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuking kept comforting her. Immediately after, the official critique content began to appear on the light screen, and the other viewers who were chatting began to pay attention. On the light screen, Zyro Wu, oh my, this most famous accessory is finally being critiqued. Regarding this girl's love life, I can only say, Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing have some family influence in the late stage. You little girl, after being with Tang San, you completely became an accessory. Zyro Wu's brain doesn't work well. From her first appearance to the end, every part reveals contradictions and stupidity. As a 100,000-year spirit beast who transformed into a human. Without losing your original memories, how could you act so foolishly in life? I really suspect was Zyro Wu's brain struck by lightning when she transformed, or a rabbit brain's naturally small, and even after 100,000 years of development, they can't grow. You, a perfectly good 100,000-year spirit beast, after transforming into a human, don't try to protect yourself, aren't cautious, and spend every day wandering around causing trouble with Tang San. What, do you think you've lived too long and want to die in the human world, to experience the thrill of being an M? Song Yi started off by ignoring the romance, and directly scolded Zyro Wu's brain. In the past few days, he had been following Zyro Wu to the ice and fire yin-yang well, and was annoyed to death, so he took the opportunity to vent. However, at the beginning, his toxic nature was activated, and he belittled Zyro Wu to nothing, completely stunning the three women of Shrek. In Ning Rongrong's room, the three women looked at the light screen, staring at each other, almost misreading it. Ning Rongrong asked proactively, did this critic take the wrong medicine, scolding right from the start? It wasn't this harsh when it critiqued me before. Zyro Wu, don't believe it, the light screen is belittling you to the bottom, no matter what, it shouldn't be like this. Zhu Zhuqing stroked Zyro Wu's back and said, it says everyone is stupid. Although you, as a spirit beast, rushed to the human world without being low-key, and fell in love with Tang San, this can't be called stupid, just not cautious enough. Hearing this, Zyro Wu's eyes twitched, she was at a loss, and finally could only smile bitterly, perhaps. It scolding me is a small matter, thinking about it carefully, I was indeed too reckless at the time. I just want to know, if I really get together with little San, is it appropriate? Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing couldn't say anything more. They felt that Tang San wasn't good enough, but it wasn't easy to say it clearly. However, except for them, the information revealed at the beginning directly shocked the rest of the connected audience. Because the light screen clearly stated that this Zyro Wu was a 100,000-year spirit beast in human form, wasn't that still a spirit beast? In an instant, the entire comment section caused 1,000 waves. Most loyal believer of the sea god. What? A 100,000-year spirit beast in human form, Shrek Academy, actually has such a 100,000-year spirit beast. BB Dong, well, I was just checking the light screen as usual, but I didn't expect such a harvest. A 100,000-year spirit beast hiding in Shrek. BB Dong, I was originally hesitating whether to send people to wipe out this Shrek, but now it seems I have to. A 100,000-year spirit beast, and a rabbit. I'm afraid it's the descendant of that rabbit from before. No eating bunnies, BB Dong, how dare you, you lunatic, I will kill you sooner or later. BB Dong, at no eating bunnies, so that means you are this Zyro Wu beast. A spirit beast dares to come to the human world looking for death. Shrek, I am definitely going tomorrow. I am an orphan, HMPH. Regardless, a spirit beast daring to cause trouble in my human world, it should be killed. Bing Bing is polite. Is it necessary to be so harsh? Even if it's a 100,000-year spirit beast, it hasn't hurt anyone, it feels a bit bad. Charming Fox, what do you people know? Spirit beasts and spirit masters have innate hatred. Never let any spirit beast go. Once she grows up, won't she kill people? BB Dong, well said. Little beast, you just wait for me. If you try to run, I'll turn over Soto City where Shrek is located tomorrow to find you. BB Dong said this, seemingly stupid, giving them a night's time. In fact, saying it online is one thing, doing it offline is another. Since she knew the location of the 100,000-year spirit beast, how could she let it go? She was originally in her bedroom, but she immediately put on her clothes and ordered people to be found without saying a word. Jiawei Guan Gui Mei, get over here immediately. She didn't dare to waste the opportunity, she must catch Zyro Wu back tonight, to avoid her running away. Chapter 32, Becoming a God and Still Dying of Illness, Zyro Wu is Broken. Spirit Hall. Deep in the night, Chrysanthemum Douluo Yuguan and Ghost Douluo Gui Mei were woken up at the same time. The two were very resentful, but looking at the Supreme Pontiff Bibai Dong before them, they could not say anything and had to suppress their anger and obey. Your Highness, Supreme Pontiff. The two knelt on one knee, appearing respectful. Bibi Dong's expression was anxious as she looked at the light screen and then at Yuguan and his companion. Fortunately, only the connector could see the light screen clearly, others could not. She could read the messages while issuing orders. When Yuguan and the other arrived, Bibai Dong quickly ordered. This seat has just received confirmed intelligence that the daughter of that 100,000-year spirit beast we hunted back then, the other young 100,000-year spirit beast, is currently at Shrek Academy in Soto City, Heaven Du Empire. At the same time, Tang San, the son of Tang Hao who killed the former Supreme Pontiff Qian Zunji, is likely also at this Shrek Academy. I now order the two of you to immediately head to Shrek Academy and bring that 100,000-year spirit beast back. Bibi Dong was quite anxious. She was afraid of missing the serialized commentary on the light screen. However, to Yuguan and the other, it sounded like Bibai Dong was excited because she had just received temporary intelligence. Even the two of them were equally surprised and excited. Yue Guan spoke first. What? Your Highness, Supreme Pontiff, is this information accurate? A 100,000-year spirit beast, right in Soto City. Gui Mei was also thinking, and he was somewhat excited. Soto City is not too far from our spirit city, if it's true. Wouldn't we really be able to capture a 100,000-year spirit beast? Heavens, Your Majesty, where did this information come from? Seeing their attitude, Bibai Dong was prepared and hurried to smooth things over. Naturally, it was investigated by my people. In short, the matter is urgent. You two must hurry there to prevent the spirit beast from escaping. By the way, Tang Hao's son is also at Shrek and has a very good relationship with this spirit beast. After all, he is Tang Hao's biological son. Tang Hao is very likely hiding in the shadows to protect him. Once you two capture the spirit beast, bring it back immediately. Do not get entangled in a fight. As titled Douluo, although you cannot beat Tang Hao, it shouldn't be difficult for you to run, right? Upon hearing this, Yuguan immediately thought back to when he followed Qian Zunji to hunt the blue-silver emperor spirit beast. At that time, Tang Hao was like a madman, killing anyone who blocked him, killing even Buddhas. It was too fierce and terrifying. Recalling such a battle, Yuguan couldn't help but swallow his saliva, seemingly fearful. However, hearing Bibai Dong say later that there was no need to fight, just grab the spirit beast and run away. Then it's fine, that's fine. Both of them let out a sigh of relief. Gui Mei quickly assured, Your Majesty, rest assured. Even if we can't beat Tang Hao, running away is no problem. The two of us will definitely complete the mission. We will find another 100,000-year spirit beast for Spirit Hall. Bibi Dong looked satisfied. After a brief reminder, Yuguan and his companion completely disappeared into the darkness. After they left, Bibai Dong sneered arrogantly. Little beast. Even if you start running now, you cannot escape the speed of two titled Douluo. I let you slip through the cracks back then, how could I let you go now? After saying this, Bibai Dong did not even change back into her casual clothes, but continued to wait in Spirit Hall. If things went smoothly, Yuguan and the others could bring the person back in the middle of the night. Bibi Dong continued to watch the light screen, looking forward to more information. On the light screen, the sounds of comments and discussions from various characters were still rising and falling, never stopping. But regardless, everyone was still focused on the critical commentary content on the light screen. At this moment, the text of the commentary was still outputting steadily. And you call this love, a human and a spirit beast, clearly two conflicting species, yet they get together. I don't know what is attractive about that. Counting Zyro Wu's love journey, what is the benefit of being with Tang San? You say she becomes a god in the future, but doesn't she still die of illness in the end? To become a god and still die of illness is truly laughable. How miserable must this life have been to get sick and die? Not to mention the final ending, just look at the process of her loving and accompanying Tang San along the way. How much suffering has Zyro Wu endured, and how many stupid things has she done? From the very beginning, a 100,000-year spirit beast came to the human world. Having lived for a full 100,000 years, even if she had always been in the Stardew Great Forest, she must have seen many humans going to the Stardew Great Forest to hunt spirits, right? Zyro Wu shouldn't be someone who hasn't seen handsome little boys, right? Instead, she came to the human world, was extremely high profile, joined Notting Academy, and started trouble. She fought for the position of boss and even beat the Newding City Lord's son, Boss Zyro, into a lackey. No matter what, he is the City Lord's son and has some connections. What if you provoked this so-called Newding City Lord, and the City Lord happened to know some spirit saint or spirit Douluo? That's not impossible. When that happens, if you are discovered, do you still have a way to live? You were only level 10 or 20 at the time. Are you tired of living? And as soon as she entered Notting Academy, she got to know Tang San through a fight, and the two started calling each other brother and sister. Especially after studying for a year and returning home, Tang San found that his father had left, and he wanted to treat her as his own younger sister, saying that if anyone wanted to hurt her, they would have to step over Tang San's dead body. Bullshit, that sounds nice, but when has it ever been realized? When have they been together without Zyro Wu being the stupid one who dies first? And every time Zyro Wu dies, it brings various benefits to Tang San. Is Zyro Wu an ATM? If she dies a few more times, wouldn't Tang San evolve from a god king to a god emperor? Not to mention that as a transmigration, Tang San was already an adult in his 20s or 30s in his previous life. Coming to the Douluo Continent, he pretended to be a child, tricking Zyro Wu into being his sister and girlfriend. No, according to the setting, Tang San didn't know in the beginning that Zyro Wu was an old freak who had lived for 100,000 years. To him, Zyro Wu was really a 6 or 7-year-old girl. You, with the mental age of a 20 or 30-year-old, sleep with a 6 or 7-year-old girl every day and say those impossible love words to seduce her. What is this? This is molestation. An old man, not in the role of a father or grandfather, yet constantly having physical contact, sleeping together, eating together. If this isn't scheming, if this isn't molestation of a child, what is it? Like this, and the fool Zyro Wu still loves him to death, literally death. This goes to show that rabbits might really not grow brains. Like this, if you put her in the world of Plants vs. Zombies, even the zombies would despise her. Seeing this, Song Yi felt truly disgusted by the commentary. Admittedly, in the original work, whether Tang San was sincere or not, at least on the surface, he appeared to love Zyro Wu. But this kind of love is completely distorted and selfish. Zyro Wu following Tang San, they say there are benefits that she can even become a god, but is she comfortable? Is she happy? Isn't it just endless suffering? In the end, she could even die of illness after becoming a god. What kind of life must she have led to be so miserable? Chapter 33, Is Tang San a transmigrator? The whole world is shocked. Moreover, when Song Yi critiqued this, he also revealed another important piece of information. That is, Tang San is a so-called transmigrator, someone from another world with a past life. Once this information came out, it caused an uproar in the comments section, and countless female characters were terrified. In this world, such an existence actually exists. Duguyan, damn it, this piece of information reveals too much. This Zyro Wu can become a god in the future, and will die several times. The key is that this Tang San is also a transmigrator. Bing Bing is polite. Can someone explain, is a transmigrator what I imagine, someone who comes from another world? Duguyan, definitely, a transmigrator with a past life. It's obvious they come from another world. So this Tang San looks like a young man, but is he actually an old thing already? Duguyan, how scary, don't you find it creepy? An old man touching a young girl every day, Tusk. It's not just scary, it's disgusting. Bing Bing is polite. It really is. I feel like vomiting just thinking about that scene. This Zyro Wu, how can she stomach it? I am an orphan, so that's it. No wonder this Tang San, in the various information on the light screen, seems to be very powerful. It turns out he is a transmigrator, having lived 2 lives. With so much life experience, that's why he can far surpass his peers. Charming Fox, when commenting on Yu Xiaogang earlier, it seemed to mention some hidden weapons. Could it be that these were also brought by Tang San from another world? Does anyone know about hidden weapons? Can you introduce them? Most loyal believer of the sea god, hidden weapons, if taken literally, are weapons used in the dark. It should be a means of sneak attacks. If one guards against it properly, it shouldn't have much impact. Charming Fox, weapons used in the dark, yes, that might be it. We really must be on guard. To be able to use such means to fight, it seems this Tang San is not an upright and honorable person. Bibi Dong, wonderful, Tang San and Xiao Wu can still become gods. They must be my great enemies. This seat will never allow such a hidden danger to remain. Little beast, just you wait, this seat will deal with you sooner or later. The only princess, Bibi Dong, you're a supreme pontiff, so what? Why are you hurting people at will? Tang San and Xiao Wu becoming gods, what the hell does that have to do with you? Charming Fox, at the only princess, I see you are also from Shrek, right, and you're still proud. Didn't you see the light screen say that even if this Xiao Wu can become a god, she will still die of illness? Charming Fox, if life is going well, can one die of illness? Didn't this Tang San say that if Xiao Wu dies, one must step over his corpse first? But the light screen shows it never happened. Being with a man who only talks but doesn't act, that girl named Xiao Wu, she's very proud and smug, isn't she? Bibi Dong, a man taught by Yu Xiaogang, a son taught by Tang Hao, can he be a responsible man? Bibi Dong, I suppose you all don't know yet, right? Back then, Tang San's father, Tang Hao, was also with a woman who had transformed from a 100,000-year spirit beast. That spirit beast must have told Tang Hao to be cautious and wait for her to completely become a human. Bibi Dong, but what did Tang Hao do? He chose to let this 100,000-year spirit beast who was about to give birth follow him to Spirit City, which is where our spirit hall is located. There are many titled Douluo in Spirit City. As soon as they arrived, they were immediately discovered. Bibi Dong, in the end, under the crisis, that spirit beast sacrificed herself to Tang Hao, and Tang Hao obtained the spirit bone and spirit ring, tusk. What a great calculation. Bibi Dong, little beast, think clearly, humans and spirit beasts have an irreconcilable natural hatred and conflict. Do you think that Tang San of yours, given his father did something similar, is sure he loves you, and not just for your spirit ring and spirit bone? Bibi Dong, think about it carefully, as the light screen said, you will die more than once in the future. Bibi Dong's series of statements directly left everyone present bewildered. Damn, there's such secret content, and even extra drama to know about. Amazing, having a supreme pontiff is just different. Hot girl, my god, I've had a great time eating melons today. It's my first time watching the light screen, and there's so much explosive information. Needle-tailed swift, looking at it this way, the Tang clan is really not good stuff. We were also harmed by the Tang clan back then, and now we are in a miserable state. Needle-tailed swift, if I ever meet that Tang San, I will definitely not let him go. Such a hypocritical, such a disgusting Tang clan member. Charming Fox, at Needle-tailed Swift, if you have a grudge against the Tang clan, you can join our spirit hall. Most loyal believer of the sea god, the Tang clan, sigh, it's the Tang clan people again. Duguyan, damn, once this matter mentioned by the Supreme Pontiff came out, I really feel that this Tang San might want the spirit ring and spirit bone, or at worst, he just hopes to molest a young girl, so he took in Xiao Wu. Bing Bing is polite, looking at it this way, this Xiao Wu is really pitiful. Various comments, along with the explosive news exposed by Bibi Dong, directly made Xiao Wu in the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School almost unable to accept reality. Inside the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, the 3 girls, including Xiao Wu, saw the content on the light screen, and looking at Bibi Dong's statements, they found it hard to imagine. My god, how could it be like this? Ning Rongrong was the most relaxed, but also the first to sigh in surprise. So Tang San's father also had such a story. The most critical point is, Tang San is actually an outsider. No wonder Tang San has those hidden weapons and knows so many things. It turns out he was already an adult, completely different from us. If he lived for 20-something years in his past life, plus the 10-something years of this life, isn't he 40 years old? Xiao Wu, the person you like, is actually 40 years old, maybe even older. Speaking of this, Ning Rongrong felt a bit uncomfortable. 40 years old, the most greasy stage for men. Thinking of this age, one involuntarily thinks of those greasy middle-aged men like Yu Xiaogang. Just saying it herself made Ning Rongrong feel disgusted. She is only in her 13-year-old youth. If she were to date a 40-year-old man, just thinking about it makes her want to vomit. Even Zhu Zhuqing and Xiao Wu on the side, after hearing this calculation, also felt a bit nauseous. Zhu Zhuqing was also speechless and began to express disdain. Even among our royal nobility, where there are often arranged marriages, it is very rare for a young girl to marry such an old man. Of course, if calculated by age, Xiao Wu is also 100,000 years old, but Xiao Wu's mindset is completely that of a young girl. But men are different. When a man gets old, that kind of daddy vibe greasiness is born unconsciously. Speaking of this, Zhu Zhuqing paused, suddenly thinking of something, and said, "By the way, Xiao Wu, you said Tang San lost his temper with you last time and wanted to stand on Yu Xiaogang's side. Is it because Tang San is old, has a strong daddy vibe, and has already become someone like Yu Xiaogang, so he supports him?" This explanation seems very reasonable. However, as soon as she finished speaking, Xiao Wu, who was already feeling uncomfortable, burst into tears on the spot. She really couldn't accept it anymore. Chapter 34, Xiao Wu's love is also hypocritical, mutual cradle snatching. Listening to the persuasion of Ning Rongrong and the other, Xiao Wu felt as though her entire life had been a complete disaster. Who could have imagined that the Tang San she liked so much was actually an outsider, and not even from the Douluo Continent? He looked so young, but in reality, Tang San was an old man who had lived for who knows how many years. Thinking of this, Xiao Wu cried even more sorrowfully, feeling unbearable heartache. How could it be like this? How could it? Little San, oh no, Tang San is actually not from the Douluo Continent at all. What exactly does he feel for me? Is he my brother or my uncle? Woo, how could it be like this? Xiao Wu was sad to the extreme, not even knowing how to continue speaking. She didn't know whether her judgment of Tang San was good or bad, or how she should make a decision. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing were standing on the side, feeling very awkward. The two continued to persuade her. It's okay, Xiao Wu, regardless, at least you have already left Shrek. That's right, and with the current yearning heartbroken red, at least you don't have to worry about your identity as a 100,000-year spirit beast being discovered by others in the future. Even if that Bibai Dong and the others know you are a 100,000-year spirit beast, they have never seen you. As long as you change your name, who would know that you are the original Xiao Wu? As for Tang San, hey this. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing were both just young people, and they really didn't know how to advise her. Both of them had been distressed earlier as well. The men they were matched with were so trashy and disgusting. Who would have known that Tang San, who looked like the most normal person, wasn't a normal person either? Xiao Wu, however, continued to cry and sob, completely losing the demeanor of a spirit master. At this moment, she was simply a young girl who had been deceived. Of course, objectively speaking, she was also deceiving Tang San, but people only want to think of themselves as good, not bad. From Xiao Wu's perspective, Tang San was just an old man deceiving her of her feelings. However, because she had loved Tang San after all, and even plucked the yearning heartbroken red for him, Xiao Wu still couldn't fully accept it. Xiao Wu looked at the two women with some confusion, and even other thoughts as she said, "Rongrong Zhuqing." The light screen also said that little San's father deceived his mother to obtain her spirit ring and spirit bone. Do you think this is true? Could little San also be doing it for the spirit ring and spirit bone? Ning Rongrong and the other were stunned and began to ponder. A moment later, Ning Rongrong said with some embarrassment, "Now that you mention it, the light screen didn't explicitly state his father's purpose. But if the reality is that Tang San's father really took his mother to Spirit City, that would be too counterintuitive. After all, knowing that his wife was a 100,000-year spirit beast, he still intentionally took her there. If you say there was no ulterior motive, that wouldn't be normal human thinking." Zhu Zhuqing thought about it and nodded as well. That should be it. But Xiao Wu, Tang San is not the same person as his father, and Tang San doesn't even know you are a spirit beast yet. Then what if he finds out later? Zyro Wu asked, looking somewhat dejected. The fact that little San can be taught by Yu Zyrogang to be like that means he will definitely listen to his elders. But what if he also listens to his father? His father would at least find it easier to manipulate little San than Yu Zyrogang did, right? This. Enning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing looked at each other, seeing worry in each other's eyes. Come to think of it, such a possibility really exists. A son takes his father's surname. If Tang San can trust Yu Zyrogang, wouldn't he trust his own biological father? And from the expressions of Ning Rongrong and the other, Zyro Wu also saw the result. Zyro Wu just smiled bitterly, weeping and sobbing even more painfully, unable to say anything else. Inside Spirit Hall, Bibi Dong watched the light screen, thoughtful. So that's how it is. No wonder back then Tang Hao specifically brought his wife to Spirit City. It turns out he just wanted his wife to sacrifice herself to obtain a spirit ring and spirit bone. Tusk. Thinking of this, Bibi Dong found it laughable. She couldn't help but mockingly say, people related to Shrek are truly all a bunch of animals. The male students in Shrek are all perverts, and the teachers at Shrek are all trash. And the elder of the Shrek student, that is Tang Hao, is equally hypocritical to the extreme. What a disgusting family. I wonder if Yu Guan and the others are proceeding smoothly. This Tang San is also an otherworlder. It would be best to capture him alive. Perhaps there are some special resources in the other world. If I conquer that world in the future, I wonder if it's feasible. After all, Bibi Dong was an ambitious person. Knowing that Tang San was a transmigrator, she wasn't thinking about what would happen to Tang San in the future. Instead, she discovered a new world, and felt there was an opportunity to plunder more resources to make herself stronger. Bibi Dong felt she was a genius, having thought of a way to maximize profits. Thinking of this, she continued to watch the light screen, hoping it would continue to reveal useful information. Then, she would compile the information to better set herself on the path to victory. In the light screen, don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. Besides the thoughts of Tang San, an old man, suspecting him of molesting children, Zyro Wu herself is also a brain-dead, idiotic thing. Think carefully, Tang San is an old man, are you not an old rabbit yourself? Having lived for a full 100,000 years, after transforming into human form, you actually thought you were a 6 or 7-year-old girl, and even rushed to call him brother. Thinking of a 100,000-year-old hag acting young, anyone would find it disgusting. I can only say that although their love is very F***ed up, the two are still well matched. They are both deceiving each other, and both are mutual cradle snatchers. How can such love be called love? Isn't it just each taking what they need? Zyro Wu needs to follow behind a genius to cultivate and improve her cultivation efficiency, while Tang San needs an obedient wife to maintain his macho image. Starting from Notting Academy, the two addressed each other as brother and sister, but in reality, what they did was similar to ordinary couples. Are you playing some incestuous roleplay here? After arriving at Shrek, Tang San continued to accept the guidance of that trash Yu Zyrogang, and Zyro Wu was about the same. But in front of those classmates, when the two were clearly almost about to kiss, they still pretended to be brother and sister, calling each other brother and sister. It is hypocritical to the extreme. The subsequent acquisition of the spirit ring is even more brain-dead among the brain-dead. If you really like Tang San, why didn't you control Tang San first after letting the Titan giant ape take you away? Instead, you let Tang San go crazy. What if he was eaten by other spirit beasts? If you don't like Tang San, why pretend to care about him? Seeing Tang San encounter the man-faced demon spider, you were there worrying so much. Why couldn't you just have the Titan giant ape knock Tang San unconscious from the start? Don't tell me that a top-tier 100,000-year spirit beast, the king of the forest, couldn't even make a low-level spirit master faint. You ran off with the Titan giant ape, and Tang San went crazy. If he was careless, he could have rushed out and been swallowed by a 10,000-year spirit beast. You are truly heartless. Chapter 35 Tang San's Infatuation. Bullshit, look what he did. Of course, all this can be explained by Zyro Wu being an idiot, saying she couldn't think of this layer. Saying that Zyro Wu, this child, had long thought about how to conceal the matter of obtaining a spirit ring, but just couldn't think about how to care about Tang San's life or death. However, from Tang San's perspective, he wasn't that deeply in love either. He shouted that even if he died, he would save Zyro Wu first. But what about the actual situation? When the Titan giant ape took her away, why didn't you, Tang San, fulfill your promise? If you want to harm Zyro Wu, step over my corpse first. And later, when you were chasing the Titan giant ape, you encountered a man-faced demon spider. Why did you fight it? How is it that your Zyro Wu was captured and might die, yet you encountered a man-faced demon spider and started fighting it? Alright, you say the man-faced demon spider actively sought you out. You couldn't escape and could only kill it first. That's fine, very reasonable. However, after fighting, you still needed to recover from your injuries first. You don't know how much time it takes to recover from injuries. Okay, after recovering from injuries, you encountered Meng Yuren and 2 others. You were still there chatting with them, explaining a bunch of things. Alright, if you say explaining and chatting are normal, after all, you need to survive, and they don't have a good impression of you, which is also normal. But then Zhao Wuji and the others arrived, able to temporarily block the dragon and snake couple for you, yet you still agreed to compete with Meng Yuren in hidden weapons. No, little San, if someone wants to compete with you, do you have to agree? Weren't you going to save Zyro Wu? Don't you want your Zyro Wu anymore? You say if you don't agree to the competition, the dragon and snake couple won't leave. Bullshit. The plot clearly states that the dragon and snake couple were about to leave, and it was Meng Yuren herself who wanted to compete. The dragon and snake couple didn't even agree, yet you readily agreed, preparing to waste a lot of time competing with Meng Yuren. Alright, after the competition, you can finally go save Zyro Wu, right? No, I still need to flirt. I still need to give flying needles to Meng Yuren, teach Meng Yuren hidden weapons techniques, and flirt with Meng Yuren for a while. When the dragon and snake couple finally left with Meng Yuren, and you've also recovered some spirit power, now you can finally go save Zyro Wu, right? No, can such a good man face demon spider spirit ring be wasted? The life or death of mere Zyro Wu, compared to the man face demon spider spirit ring. Tang San's choice was, don't rush, absorb the man face demon spider's spirit ring first. It might take 10 minutes or an hour, but absorb it first before anything else. By the time you finish absorbing, Zyro Wu would have long been chopped into minced meat and eaten, right? If it weren't for Zyro Wu herself not being harmed, if you replaced her with an ordinary spirit master who was captured, and you, Tang San, delayed so many things, could an ordinary spirit master still be alive under the hands of a spirit beast? Some of these things were delays Tang San couldn't avoid, but some things he chose to delay himself. It's not possible that the subsequent competition and spirit ring absorption were forced upon him, right? Zyro Wu, this foolish woman, still thinks Tang San cares so much about her, is so devoted to her. Thinking about it carefully, it's not even as good as a man-faced demon spider's spirit ring. Of course, if there are Tang San sycophants, they might still say, oh, Tang San wanted to absorb the spirit ring to have a better chance of saving. Bullshit, have a better chance of saving her. Delaying for so long, you'd have a better chance of collecting Zyro Wu's corpse, right? It's one thing if Zyro Wu doesn't know, but Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing, these 2 women, were watching from the side, and actually still thought Tang San showed his feelings for Zyro Wu in this matter. My god, this can be called love. Are the women of Shrek all blind, all imbeciles? Is Shrek so poor that they rented out their brains and don't have money to buy them back? Writing this, Song Yi felt disgusted. Many people use this plot segment to say that Tang San is truly devoted to Zyro Wu. Alright, even if he is sincere, he immediately agreed to the competition, taught Meng Yuren hidden weapons techniques after the competition, and then actively absorbed the spirit ring. These aren't fake, are they? These were all Tang San's own choices, weren't they? Did he exercise his subjective initiative? His wife was captured, and even a few seconds of delay could mean the difference between life and death. Yet, in this situation, he chose to flirt first and absorb the spirit ring first. Alright, if this is also called love, then this love is truly pure enough. And the rest of the audience, after reading such a sharp comment, were all stunned. They probably knew what the plot was about. Anyway, it was Zyro Wu being captured by the Titan giant ape, and Tang San needing to save her. But who would have thought that saving someone could involve so many delays? Every woman connected only felt disgusted. Bibi Dong, as expected, a hypocritical Tang clan member, saying things about love, but actually still thinking about showing off in front of other women first. Couldn't you have just let Zhao Wuji block the dragon and snake couple and gone to save her yourself when you encountered them? Charming fox, that's right, what a disgusting man. He keeps saying he must get Zyro Wu back, but he keeps choosing ways to waste time. I am an orphan, because in reality, this man found the man-faced demon spider's spirit ring good, so he forgot about that little Zyro Wu spirit beast Tilda. Du Guyan, what a disgusting man. Thinking about it carefully, how many things were delayed in this series of events. If it were an ordinary woman, she would have been eaten by a spirit beast long ago. He was still there absorbing a spirit ring. Bing Bing is polite. The absorption time of a spirit ring is determined by its difficulty. If it's particularly difficult but one can persevere, it's not impossible to even spend 1 or 2 hours. Bing Bing is polite. Tang San clearly knew the power and difficulty of absorbing the man-faced demon spider's spirit ring, yet he still chose to absorb it, knowing it would take more time. From this, it's clear that this love isn't as pure as he claims. Hot girl, didn't the light screen say earlier that this Tang San's promise to Zyro Wu, wanting to step over his Tang San's corpse, was never fulfilled? This is the first time. How many more times do you guess there will be? Charming fox, at least 2 or 3 times. Such a hypocritical man is best at deceiving women. He speaks beautifully, but every time he lets the woman get hurt first. Bibi Dong, this is Yu Zyrogang's disciple. This is a Tang clan member. Most loyal believer of the sea god. Why are all Tang clan members like this? Could it be even that person? Alas, I hope this is just the nature of some Tang clan members. As the female characters discussed, it was clear that Tang San didn't love Zyro Wu as much as he claimed. Even if there was love, even if Zyro Wu was the woman he loved most, it couldn't surpass his own interests. Loving oneself and only loving one woman are not contradictory. Tang San was probably this kind of person. He definitely loved Zyro Wu, it's just that his own interests were more important than his beloved. Zyro Wu looked at the light screen's sharp commentary and listened to everyone's discussion, and she also roughly understood this principle. Tang San didn't not love her, it's just that his love for his own interests was stronger. Chapter 36, knowing Zyro Wu is a 100,000 year spirit beast, and still taking her to the tournament. 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. The 3 women looked at the light screen, their words caught in their throats, unable to express themselves. Especially since the light screen mentioned that Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing were both there at the time, watching what happened, and they didn't warn Zyro Wu. Did they also bear some responsibility? Ning Rongrong felt a bit awkward, but thinking about it carefully, the light screen wasn't wrong. Finally, she waited for Zyro Wu to take the initiative to ask. Rongrong Zhuqing. I want to know, was it really the same as what the light screen said back then? Little San really agreed to that challenge from Meng Yuan directly, and even took the initiative to teach her techniques and give her flying needles. This. Ning Rongrong recalled the details of that time, and it really was the case. It was Zhu Zhuqing who responded first. It is like that. Zyro Wu, although saying this might affect the relationship between you two, I was also a bit strange at the time. Meng Yuan proposed a competition. Tang San didn't need to agree, and her elders, the dragon and snake couple, were already preparing to leave with her. If Tang San didn't agree, would the dragon and snake couple really have stayed to deal with us just because of a missing competition? Not to mention that even if a fight really broke out because of some competition, Zhao Wuji could have held them off. If Tang San really wanted to save you, he could have left first. The dragon and snake couple might be able to beat Zhao Wuji, but it would be very difficult, and we wouldn't be in danger. The only possibility now is... Zhu Zhuqing looked at Zyro Wu and sighed helplessly. It might be that Tang San was thinking about absorbing the spirit ring from the beginning. Hearing this, Zyro Wu's emotions, which had been barely contained, flowed out even more exaggeratedly. She continued to ask, when Meng Yuan and the others left, did Little San really take the initiative to absorb the spirit ring? Didn't anyone else persuade him? Even if... Zyro Wu twitched. Even if Little San was persuaded by others to absorb the spirit ring first, maybe it would still. Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong both shook their heads. Everyone was thinking about saving people at the time, besides Tang San, who cared about the spirit ring of the man-faced demon spider. In the end, wasn't it Tang San who brought it up first, and everyone else waited with him to absorb the spirit ring together? Seeing the expressions of the two women, Xiao Wu finally understood everything. So that's how it is. So, hair's hair. Xiao Wu was in extreme pain, laughing out loud in disbelief. Perhaps this laughter was mocking herself, or perhaps it was helplessness toward reality. Of course, Xiao Wu certainly hoped Tang San could survive safely. If Tang San really risked his life to save her, she would definitely stop him. But if Tang San didn't want to save her that much, would Xiao Wu still want Tang San not to save her? She would definitely be disappointed. Xiao Wu closed her eyes, covering her little face tightly with both hands, already crying until she was exhausted, unable to hold on much longer. Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong looked at each other, and in the end, they could only sigh, an endless sigh. Even in the comment section on the light screen, those female characters were still discussing, saying how hypocritical Tang San was. Saying that what he said and what he did simply didn't match, it was truly disgusting to the extreme. Moreover, the main sharp commentary content on the light screen didn't pause at all and continued to update. Inside the light screen. From this Titan giant ape incident, one can see the thoughts of each Shrek person. Oscar thought about taking advantage before dying and took the initiative to get close to Ning Rongrong, and Ning Rongrong actually thought Oscar was very infatuated. Tang San said he must find Xiao Wu, but when he encountered a spirit ring, he abandoned Xiao Wu first, and Xiao Wu was moved to tears. Good. So to treat the female characters in Douluo Continent, one only needs to pretend to be affectionate to trick women into one's hands. Not to mention later, Tang San always maintained his love for Xiao Wu, and under normal circumstances, nothing would happen. Xiao Wu is his most important woman. But the same sentence holds true: don't encounter trouble. Once trouble is encountered, when is it not Xiao Wu who suffers and Tang San who benefits? Later, he accidentally encountered the immortal herb in the ice and fire yin-yang well. Tang San obtained the insightful autumn water dew, and saw through that Xiao Wu was a 100,000-year spirit beast, but he didn't say anything. That's still normal. But the key is, later Shrek Academy inherited the resources of Lambda Academy, and was qualified to participate in the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Elite Tournament. At this time, Tang San still didn't know that, yearning heartbroken red, could cover up Xiao Wu's spirit beast aura. In other words, under these circumstances, Tang San knew that Xiao Wu might be discovered as a 100,000-year spirit beast by high-level spirit masters. And then what? They fought all the way to the finals and were going to Spirit City to participate in the tournament. At this time there were two choices. Xiao Wu is a 100,000-year spirit beast, so she should not participate in the finals for the sake of caution and self-preservation, or let Xiao Wu endure it, win the championship of the finals first, and get the spirit bone before saying anything. A normal person, if there is really love, would definitely give up any honor or spirit bone, right? After all, it's one's own lover who is in danger. What did our young Master Tang do? He chose to continue participating in the tournament. Even though he knew Xiao Wu was a 100,000-year spirit beast and might be discovered by high-level spirit masters, he still took her to Spirit City. What kind of place is Spirit City? The place with the most titled Douluo. Even during the tournament, the top-titled Douluo, Supreme Pontiff Bibi Dong, was right in front of them, was she even 20 meters away. Just like that, Tang San still chose to take Xiao Wu with him. Good. It's the same as what his father did back then. What a coincidence. Isn't it too coincidental? How can the father and son do such similar things? Was it Tang San's carelessness, or was it intentional? Xiao Wu, intentional. Writing up to this point, Song Yi as the critic just wanted to laugh. Tang San already saw that Xiao Wu was a 100,000-year spirit beast, knew the conflict between spirit masters and spirit beasts, and knew the preciousness of a 100,000-year spirit beast, yet he still took her to the tournament. Is the tournament really that important? Or is it that Tang San really wanted the spirit bone? This content, once released, almost frightened the female characters. Wow, I've seen hypocritical people, but never anyone this hypocritical. How can the so-called Tang San be disgusting to such a degree? It makes people want to vomit, right? Needle-tailed swift. Wait, is this Tang San a man? Didn't they say Zyro Wu is his true love? Why would he still take his lover to such a dangerous place? Bing Bing is polite. Does this even need to be said? How did Tang San's father do it? This makes Tang San understandable. Maybe he knew Zyro Wu was a 100,000-year spirit beast, which is why he wanted to make it to the finals even more. Needle-tailed swift. Oh, does this mean he also wants to be like his father, letting the spirit beast sacrifice itself voluntarily? Damn, what a calculation. Most loyal believer of the sea god. Even I have to admit that the Tang clan has indeed produced hypocritical people. This pair of father and son, even if they wanted a spirit ring, could have gone hunting for it themselves. Why use such disgusting means? Chapter 37, Zyro Wu completely breaks down Tang San's endless dark secrets. Duguyan, it's laughable to hunt a 100,000-year spirit beast normally. Could a father and son defeat it and obtain a 100,000-year spirit ring? Duguyan, besides, I've heard that only when a spirit beast sacrifices itself can it be absorbed regardless of the spirit master's rank, and the fusion of the spirit ring and spirit bone is better, with greater power. Duguyan, if they didn't use this method, how could Tang Hao and Tang San absorb a 100,000-year spirit ring before reaching the required rank? I am an orphan, ridiculous. A perfectly good Continental Advanced Spirit Master Elite tournament has actually become one of this Tang Clan kids' schemes. Won't the 3 spirit bones end up in their hands too? Bing Bing is polite. This year's Continental Advanced Spirit Master Elite tournament hasn't started yet, right? Does that mean the new competition will have 3 spirit bones as rewards? BB Dong, correct. I do indeed have the intention to offer 3 100,000-year spirit bones as rewards for this competition, to encourage spirit masters across the world to strive for improvement. But if they are won by such disgusting people, it would be better not to offer them at all. Charming Fox, Your Majesty, there is nothing to worry about. This Tang San is a person from another world. He must be winning by relying on methods from that other world. This is simply a violation of the rules. Charming Fox, in a proper Spirit Master tournament, what kind of skill is using methods from another world? If that's the case, everyone else should just stop being Spirit Masters. Why not just go to Tang San's world to study? I am an orphan, still the same thing. The Tang clan is too disgusting. Hot girl, is that Zyro Wu in the comment section? I wonder what her specific reaction is upon seeing these sharp critiques. Hot girl, if it were me, I definitely wouldn't trust this Tang San anymore. Isn't this just throwing oneself into a furnace? Bing Bing is polite. Is this what you call love? The light screen keeps saying Tang San loves Zyro Wu, but how come I don't see where the love is? 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. Zyro Wu still couldn't help but want to see the sharp critiques on the light screen. However, the moment she opened her eyes, she saw this plot again, seeing that Tang San might even be harming her. Zyro Wu could no longer hold it together and burst into tears. No, why? Sob, little San, third brother. Why did you? Since you knew long ago that I was a spirit beast, why did you still let me participate in the competition? I definitely wanted to accompany you, because I knew my aura was masked by the immortal herb, but you didn't know that. You didn't know my aura could be masked, yet you knew I was a spirit beast. Why did you still, why? Sob, don't, little San, don't. By the end of her crying, Zyro Wu's tears were almost dried up. At this moment, she had completely become a tearful mess, her eyes bloodshot, even redder than a normal rabbit. This shows how much pain this girl was in for the sake of Tang San. She had tried to believe in the other party time and time again, and time again, she tried to tell herself that maybe little San just hadn't paid attention. However, reality always struck her, always refuted her. Reality could only let Zyro Wu know that in Tang San's heart, his own interests were the most important. Even if Tang San still loved Zyro Wu, this love was never greater than Tang San's love for his own interests. This is why, even though Tang San clearly liked Zyro Wu, he still caused Zyro Wu to get hurt time and time again. because he loved himself far more than he loved his wife. Enning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing saw this and also felt heartbroken. The two discussed and sighed, feeling that Zyro Wu was suffering too much. I didn't expect Tang San to know about Zyro Wu's spirit beast identity in advance. Yes, it seems it was also because of some immortal herb. Things like immortal herbs, I'm afraid only Song Yi and Tang San know about them, right? Tang San is a person from another world, so he is knowledgeable. I wonder if Song Yi is too. Probably not. Tang San only met him when he was 12 or 13, and I haven't seen him reading books normally. But Song Yi is already 16. If he has been reading books since he was young, it's possible he knows those things. There aren't that many people from another world. Having one is already extraordinary. The main point is that Tang San knew Zyro Wu was a spirit beast and still made her participate in the tournament. Bibaidong is so powerful. How could she not see through Zyro Wu's identity? Do you think it's possible that Tang San didn't know that a spirit beast's identity could be seen through? Maybe Tang San thought that spirit beasts wouldn't be discovered by spirit masters. How is that possible? Tang San himself ate an immortal herb and increased his mental force, which allowed him to see through Zyro Wu. Could it be that a titled Douluo with stronger mental force wouldn't be able to see through it? In the end, Tang San only cares about his own interests. I think he just wanted the spirit bone too much, which is why he let Zyro Wu fall into the fire pit. Enning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing's guesses were correct. Only this reason could explain it. Tang San loved Zyro Wu, but he loved his own interests even more. If it weren't for the appeal of the spirit bones, Tang San might have really given up on the tournament. It's just a pity that he happened to encounter a spirit bone. Could Tang San bear to give it up? To want the spirit bone, he couldn't give up Zyro Wu, who was a combat asset, so he let Zyro Wu continue to compete. As long as one holds on to the principle that Tang San loves Zyro Wu, but loves his own interests more, everything can be explained. Why Tang San knew Zyro Wu would get hurt, and yet still did certain things. Zyro Wu listened to the two women talking and became completely desperate. From this moment on, she really began to doubt Tang San's love for her. It was also from this moment as a starting point that her love for Tang San was gradually worn away and slowly disappeared. If she continued to watch, perhaps Zyro Wu would eventually abandon Tang San, just like Liu Erlong and Bibaidong abandoned Yu Zyrogang. After all, the premise of love is that the other party also loves you. Zyro Wu was now beginning to change. She just wanted to know how many more things there were later. If she followed Tang San, would she live a happy life, or would she become more and more miserable? Zyro Wu murmured dully, "Little San, can I still trust you? Can we really be happy?" Her eyes were empty, her tears completely dried up, and she stared fixedly at the light screen, looking forward to the subsequent content. Spirit Hall. Bibi Dong stroked her chin, recalling the content of the sharp critiques on the light screen. As for whether Tang San loved Zyro Wu or not, she didn't care. What she cared about was the benefits. Bibi Dong thought and spoke. Looking at the momentum of the light screen, it seems that Tang San and his group will win the championship. If that is the case, the 3 spirit bones must not be given out. Either we deal with Shrek Academy first, so that Nana and the others are guaranteed to get the spirit bones, and only then can we continue to use the spirit bones as prizes. Or we just give the spirit bones to Nana and the others privately, so they aren't won by some Shrek Academy. I still have to wait for Yu Guan and Gui Mei to return to see how the mission was executed. Let's keep watching. Bibi Dong made up her mind, set her plan, and looked at the light screen again. The light screen had a large amount of material about the couple Zyro Wu and Tang San, and there would be updates soon. Chapter 38, How many times must Zyro Wu die? Tang San really scams his wife. In the light screen, Tang San just took Zyro Wu to participate in the competition like that, and as expected, Zyro Wu's identity as a spirit beast was discovered in the end. If it weren't for Tang Hao hiding in the shadows all along to protect Tang San, I'm afraid both Zyro Wu and Tang San would have suffered. Afterwards, Zyro Wu fled back to the Stardew Great Forest to cultivate on her own, while Tang San went through quite a lot. His blue-silver grass underwent a second awakening, and his appearance changed. It just so happened that when he went to the Stardew Great Forest, he encountered Hu Liena and two others accompanying Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo to find Zyro Wu, and Tang San prepared to save Zyro Wu. But what did he do? Did he choose to venture deep into the Stardew Great Forest ahead of time to tell Zyro Wu that someone was looking for her? Or did he use the exploration ability of his blue-silver grass to find Zyro Wu beforehand and escape with her? No, young Master San chose to join Hu Liena's team, after all. He had changed his appearance. Fine. I suppose that counts as having a plan. If you join the team, just cause trouble for them, right? Or warn Zyro Wu to leave before getting close to her. Any of these methods would work, right? But our young Master Tang not only helped Hu Liena and the others find Zyro Wu, but only exposed his identity to save her after they were about to encounter her. Wait, what? I'm confused. Your blue-silver grass can communicate with each other, so couldn't you have told your wife beforehand? You just had to wait until you met Zyro Wu to save her, and then get hunted down together with her. Your damn brain has a hole in it. You would have been better off not joining their team in the first place and just going to find Zyro Wu yourself, you idiot. What's the final outcome? A titled Douluo hunt, Zyro Wu's sacrifice, and Tang San painfully acquiring a 100,000-year sixth spirit ring. Great, are you happy now? Tang San, how is your luck so good? How is it such a coincidence? Damn it, didn't you say back then that, if they want to hurt Zyro Wu, they have to step over your dead body first? How many times has this been? Captured by the Titan giant ape, you failed to do it right. Identity discovered in Spirit Hall, you failed to do it right. Now Spirit Hall people are catching Zyro Wu, you still failed to do it right. How many times has this been? Even if you really love Zyro Wu, this kind of love is too harmful, isn't it? Damn it, it would be better if you didn't love her at all. Why is it that every time she follows you, she gets unlucky, every time she gets hurt, and you take all the benefits? Of course, this is mainly because Zyro Wu herself is brain-dead. You're already in the Stardew Great Forest, just stay properly in the Lake of Life. With Da Ming and Ming's cooperation, what could happen to you? You insist on walking out. I think you, silly girl, are tired of living, preparing to rush to deliver a spirit ring and spirit bone to Spirit Hall, right? What a pair of brainless idiots. Only by being stupid to the extreme could the two of you be together. Duguyan, fine, I'll just say 6. It's Zyro Wu getting hurt again, and as expected, she ended up becoming a spirit ring and spirit bone. I am an orphan. From the moment that Tang San chose to take her to Spirit Hall to participate in the competition, one can see that this so-called love of Tang San's cannot compare to his own interests at all. I am an orphan, it's just that this Zyro Wu is stupid enough to always trust this kind of low-life man, and in the end, even sacrifices herself for him. Giving it to this kind of scum, it would be better to give it to me. Charming fox, wait what? How is this Tang San so insidious, even joining Hu Liena's team? What does that mean, bullying Hu Liena because she's too nice, right? Bibi Dong, it seems the Supreme Pontiff must also remind my disciple that she absolutely cannot trust anyone outside of Spirit Hall. This Tang San is disgusting enough. Bibi Dong, however, it doesn't matter, now that we know about future events in advance. There's no need to worry about this little beast sacrificing herself to Tang San anymore. Charming fox, your majesty, don't worry, Hu Liena will definitely be careful and will never be stupid. By the way, your majesty, the light screen said that Tang Hao has been hiding in the shadows to protect Tang San all along. This information is very important. In Spirit Hall, Bibi Dong looked at Hu Liena's comment, deep in thought, and nodded as well. This point was indeed my oversight. How could Tang Hao possibly ignore his son? But fortunately, I reminded Yu Guan and the other person to just capture the person, and if they encounter Tang Hao, there is no need to engage in a prolonged fight. Bibi Dong looked at the distant night sky, slightly worried about Yu Guan and the other person, and said, "These two, I hope they can complete the mission more smoothly." In the light screen, the comment section continued to discuss. Bing Bing is polite. If I were Zyro Wu seeing such a future, I would certainly doubt whether this Tang San really loves me. Why is it that every time he says he wants to protect me, the things he does are so bizarre? Needle-tailed Swift, does this even need to be said? This Tang San is just a hypocritical person. There is no love at all. The so-called love is just to deceive this spirit beast, Zyro Wu. Hot girl, in my opinion, this light screen has confirmed that Tang San loves Zyro Wu. There is no need to question this point. Tang San's problem is that although he loves Zyro Wu, he loves his own interests even more, which is why he temporarily abandons Zyro Wu in the face of interests. Most loyal believer of the sea god. Yes, some men are like this. You say he doesn't love you. He does love you, only loves you, but, for them, their own interests are more important than their lover. Calm and composed, this group of men, not one of them is good. None of the men related to Shrek are good. Duguyan, oh, at calm and composed, you're online again. Didn't you have a breakdown after fiercely criticizing Yu Zyrogang before? Have you accepted reality now? Bing Bing is polite, this calm and composed. It seems she is also a woman hurt by Yu Zyrogang. Being able to walk out of the haze now is worth celebrating. Don't think about Yu Zyrogang anymore in the future. Calm and composed, Yu Zyrogang, this hypocritical man, and the disciple he taught must also be extremely hypocritical. The female characters discussing didn't expect that Liu Erlong had relogged in to speak, indicating that she had already begun to slowly walk out of the haze of Yu Zyrogang. Only those IDs suspected to be the 3 Shrek women never spoke. Perhaps they really couldn't say anything. 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. Zyro Wu looked at the sharp comments in the light screen, mainly the revelation of the future results, and Zyro Wu could also guess it almost entirely. She no longer had the strength to cry. Her whole person was incomparably weak, leaning against the head of the bed, her face deadly pale. Every additional sentence in the light screen made her heart ache even more. Zyro Wu muttered, as expected, was it for the sacrifice? Little San, I really thought before that you were someone I could entrust my life to. So you're not capable of it either, so did I misjudge you? Herr Shrek men. Speaking of this, Zyro Wu's lips turned pale again. She was already somewhat overcome with anger and grief. Her entire state was completely wrong. Chapter 39, A Tiger Does Not Eat Its Cubs. Being Tang San's child is too miserable. Enning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing, watching from the side, also stroked Zyro Wu's body, both sighing. Right now, there is no need to say anything more about whether Tang San loves you or not. Even if Tang San truly loves you, the reality is that he will make you suffer endlessly. Love in the heart is one thing, but the wounds in reality are another. If a man is sincere to you, yet constantly hurts you, even if it is not intentional, such a man is absolutely not worth following. To put it nicely, it means you two are not compatible. To put it bluntly, he is your jinx. Enning Rongrong persuaded Zyro Wu, sighing from the bottom of her heart. Zyro Wu, no matter how you look at it, I'm afraid Tang San is not suitable for you. You should slowly accept it. But no matter what, Zhuqing and I will be by your side. If the men from Shrek are no good, does that mean men from other places are no good too? Just look at Songyi next door. Although he is a few years older than us, he is an excellent person with incredible talent, and he would be quite suitable. Zhu Zhuqing nodded, chiming in, that is indeed the case. When Songyi gave me the immortal herb, I almost misjudged him. This person is indeed not bad. At least he is much better than those people from Shrek. Zyro Wu nodded, and Songyi's face did indeed appear in her mind, but it was a pity that her current state was too poor, and she had no time to think about other things. Zyro Wu said weakly, I still want to watch. I want to see what my outcome will be in the future. Zyro Wu. Zyro Wu stared fixedly at the light screen, determined to finish watching this so-called love story. Even if the light screen's sharp critique was harsh, even if she appeared stupid, and even if she really wouldn't be with Tang San in the future. She still had to finish watching. Only after finishing could she leave Tang San with peace of mind, leaving behind this future destined for tragedy. Thinking of this, her eyes, which could no longer squeeze out tears, finally shed another glimmer of crystal-clear liquid. In the light screen. Amidst Zyro Wu's painful anticipation, the sharp critique continued. It was really because, as protagonists, the so-called love story between Zyro Wu and Tang San had far too many points to criticize. After that fool Zyro Wu sacrificed herself, Tang San promised Sky Azure Ball Python and the others that he would definitely resurrect Zyro Wu. Whether he truly wanted to resurrect her or not doesn't matter anymore. In the end, Tang San did indeed successfully resurrect Zyro Wu. Logically speaking, if two people love each other deeply, now that Zyro Wu has been resurrected, they should finally be able to stay together and accompany each other until the end, right? No, there were still a bunch of things in the late stage. Not to mention how many times Tang San used spirit ability that would harm Zyro Wu's soul during the resurrection process. Let's just talk about after the resurrection, when Zyro Wu and Tang San defeated Spirit Hall and became gods. After the two became a couple in the god realm, Zyro Wu gave birth to a daughter and a son for Tang San. Was there any good outcome for either of them? Zyro Wu's daughter had her soul split in two by Tang San, just to subdue the child of luck and the auspicious beast of the Douluo Continent 10,000 years later. Zyro Wu's son was injected with the most violent and dangerous power of the Golden Dragon King by Tang San. In the end, he suffered so much. Did he bring Tang San the Dragon God's grandson and power? Even before giving birth to a son, Zyro Wu was already sick and in pain. We don't know either. They had already become gods, so how could she still get sick? No, what kind of life must she have been living to get that sick? Even later, Zyro Wu was actually sick to death. Fine. Why is it Zyro Wu dying before Tang San again? How many times has this been? Also, how many times has this been that Tang San failed to fulfill the promise? If you want to hurt Zyro Wu, you must first step over Tang San's corpse. So your promises can only be said in the early stages to deceive a young girl's feelings. After that, there is no need to fulfill them at all, and you just keep putting Zyro Wu in danger, letting her die over and over again, right? Speaking of this, even if you find excuses and say Zyro Wu is just unlucky, being with you Tang San is the unluckiest thing of all. At this point, I want to ask one thing. Later, when you Tang San inherited the Asura god position, you said you would share the god position with Zyro Wu. Wait, no, how did Zyro Wu become the scabbard for the Asura sword? You are the sword and she is the scabbard. If anyone doesn't understand, let me put it clearly. A man is a sword and a woman is a scabbard. A sword is meant to be inserted into a scabbard. Damn it, turning Zyro Wu into your scabbard being. That, are you sure this is a scabbard, and not saying that Zyro Wu has completely become your tool for venting lust? Thinking about it like this, after entering the god realm, it suddenly makes sense that Zyro Wu could be sick to death, right? What a beautiful and pure love. If that idiot Zyro Wu knew about her tragic future, where she would eventually become Tang San's tool, would she still be willing to follow Tang San? Writing up to here, it was certain that the so-called love between these two would not end happily. The light screen had already defined it. No matter if it was subjective or objective, Zyro Wu following Tang San could not change that absolutely tragic future. In the light screen. Duguyan, this part reveals too much information. Tusk, I didn't expect Tang San to be able to become a god. It's just a pity that this Zyro Wu is still so miserable after becoming a god. Bing is polite, I'm giving a question mark. Wait, no, what does it mean by saying scabbard at the end? It can't really mean that, right? Bing is polite, man has a sword, woman is the scabbard. Damn, how disgusting. Doesn't this just mean Zyro Wu has completely become that kind of tool for Tang San? Besides being used for that, what other use is there? Most loyal believer of the sea god, truly a disgusting person. He says he shares the god position with Zyro Wu, but in reality, he gives her a scabbard. Anyone who thinks for a second knows what a scabbard means. Sigh. BB Dong, these men only know how to think about lustful things. It's truly disgusting. In my opinion, this kind of man should just be castrated. A sword, just cut off your sword. Let's see what you need a scabbard for. I am an orphan. This person, Tang San, must be killed. Not to mention his hypocrisy and how he harms others. If such a person becomes a god in the future, it will be of absolutely no benefit to the Douluo Continent. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. Most loyal believer of the sea god. Correct, this kind of person is absolutely not qualified to become a god. Once he becomes a god, the interests of their entire world will be damaged. Fortunately, Tang San has nothing to do with our sea god island. Hot girl, don't ignore the details. The light screen also said that the children Zyro Wu gave birth to for Tang San were miserable. Good heavens, even a tiger does not eat its cubs. How can Tang San treat his own children like this? Is he even human? Hot girl, if I were Zyro Wu, not to mention anything else, just for the sake of my own bloodline and flesh and blood, my own children, it would be impossible to be with a beast like Tang San. Hot girl, it's one thing to be selfish, but why hurt the children? What did they do wrong? This Tang San has truly reached the level of a beast. Chapter 40, Zyro Wu abandons Tang San. Tang San is not even as good as Song Yi next door. The sharp critique on the light screen ended, but the other female characters continued to discuss it in the comment section, and everyone was moved by it. Duguyan, looking at it this way, this Zyro Wu is truly quite pitiful. Although the choices she made were problematic, she was also influenced by Tang San. Bing Bing is polite, indeed. The light screen said she came to the human world to avenge her mother. Yet in the end, even the bloodline her mother left behind vanished, and she was reincarnated as someone else's daughter. Bing Bing is polite. If the current Zyro Wu knew that she would be separated from her mother in the future, would she still be willing? If it were me, I absolutely would not be willing. Most loyal believer of the sea god, this Tang San is truly harmful. Zyro Wu's mother's bloodline was ruined, and Zyro Wu's child was tortured by him. Zyro Wu herself has died who knows how many times. A man like this must never be followed. BB Dong, HMPH, what is there to pity? She is just a spirit beast. When I killed her mother years ago, that 100,000-year spirit ring was truly comfortable to use. You little beast, just wait. Sooner or later, you will also die by my hand. Hot girl, wait, you killed Zyro Wu's mother. Supreme Pontiff BB Dong, isn't this going a bit too far? You killed someone's mother and are now here flaunting it. Most loyal believer of the sea god, HMPH Spirit Hall isn't any better. It's truly disgusting. I don't think they are much better than Shrek. Needle-tailed Swift, Spirit Hall indeed deserves to die, just as much as the Tang clan. Bing Bing is polite. What a complicated web of relationships. Could everyone connected to us be related to Shrek or the Tang clan? But I don't know anyone from the Tang clan at all, nor have I heard of Shrek. Duguyan, who cares about them? Let them fight it out themselves. What's the point of just talking trash here? If you've got guts, meet offline for a one-on-one. The various characters in the comment section didn't even know what they were talking about anymore, gradually veering off topic. But from this day on, the disgusting nature of the Tang clan had thoroughly taken root in everyone's hearts, especially regarding Tang San and his father. Everyone felt nothing but contempt upon hearing their names. Inside the 7 treasure glazed tile school, the 3 women from Shrek stopped watching the light screen, closed it, and comforted each other. In another room of the 7 treasure glazed tile school, Song Yi sat in front of the light screen, pulled back his hands from typing on the energy-based keyboard, and looked at the string of text he had written. Honestly, this was his first time providing such a sharp critique with so much content, written so ruthlessly and in such detail. After all, he was critiquing the female lead. By the end, he even felt a bit dazed. Looking at it this way, why did Zyro Wu feel like a character from some tragedy? She was indeed a bit miserable. However, that brat being so miserable was her own choice. She couldn't entirely blame others. Song Yi muttered, if you want to live a better life in the future, find a good man. I wonder what the reward is this time. He waited in anticipation, and sure enough, a cluster of special energy began to condense within the light screen, the reward. Detected that this critique was extraordinary. Detected that this is the 5th critique, rewards boosted. Congratulations on obtaining the reward. Talent upgraded to innate full spirit power. 1 10,000-year head spirit bone of mental force. Seeing this reward, Song Yi was a bit surprised. Damn, 2 rewards. Upgrading my own talent to innate full spirit power is understandable. After all, what was changed before was only my spirit, and innate spirit power is also affected. But I didn't expect there to also be a 10,000-year head spirit bone of mental force. In that case, Song Yi pondered, muttering to himself. Originally, today at the ice and fire yin-yang well, I only used the fiery apricot and the octagonal mysterious ice grass for body tempering. I didn't consume any other immortal herbs. It was because I was hesitating whether to consume the Hunyuan immortal herb to lay a foundation for compressing my spirit core in the future, or whether I should consume the Wangchuan Kirshui due to increase my mental force, which would give me a chance to absorb a 10,000-year spirit ring for my 3rd spirit ring. Now that I see I have a spirit bone directly boosting my mental force, I can just consume the Hunyuan immortal herb later. Both major directions are covered. I can have a 3rd 10,000-year spirit ring and also compress my spirit core in advance in the future. And regardless of whether it's a spirit ring or spirit bone in the future, I might be able to continue increasing their age through the critique system. This is awesome. Great, just great. Song Yi didn't hesitate and immediately absorbed the rewards given by the system on the spot. Especially the spirit bone, a 10,000-year mental type head spirit bone. The improvement it brought him would surely be extremely powerful. However, absorbing a spirit bone takes some time, but there was no rush. He wouldn't sleep tonight. He would slowly absorb the spirit bone and integrate it. Shrek Academy. 2 days had passed. The group from Shrek still hadn't been able to find Zyro Wu and the other two. Now that Zyro Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Xuqing had all left and withdrawn from school, Dai Mubai and the others held a lot of resentment toward Yu Xiaogang and the academy. Even over the past 2 days, when Yu Xiaogang tried to order them to continue running laps, no one listened to him, and even Tang San just kept calling out Zyro Wu's name and ignored him. That night, Tang San went out to look for Zyro Wu again. Without any leads, he returned to Shrek. Yu Xiaogang had been waiting at the entrance of Shrek for a long time. He was prepared to have a heart-to-heart talk with Tang San, to tell Tang San to stop thinking about Zyro Wu for now, and that resuming cultivation was the most important thing. Coincidentally, because of the awkward situation over the last 2 days, Oscar, Ma Hongjun, and Dai Mubai were also waiting nearby. The 3 men were constantly discussing, seemingly having thoughts of leaving Shrek as well. Dai Mubai was in the middle of persuading Oscar and Ma Hongjun. Just then, Tang San happened to return from outside. Tang San was dusty and tired, his whole person radiating a sense of decadence that didn't belong to a young man, and he even seemed to have a heavy anger that could be ignited at any moment. At this moment, when Yu Xiaogang saw him, he hurriedly walked up and shouted, "Little San! Little San, you finally returned. Searching like this is definitely not the way. Your teacher has some things I want to say to you." He prepared to persuade him, but the moment Tang San heard it was Yu Xiaogang, he felt a surge of anger. If it weren't for their public master-disciple relationship, he would have beaten Yu Xiaogang up long ago. To maintain some decency, Tang San still raised his head and, with a hint of disdain, cupped his hands to Yu Xiaogang and said, "Teacher, I'm sorry, I have no mind to talk about anything. You should go back and rest. I still need to recuperate, and tomorrow I will continue to look for Zyro Wu." "What? You're still going to look?" When Yu Xiaogang heard this, he felt quite uncomfortable. Why was Tang San still looking for someone? "If you keep searching for women like this, how will you cultivate and become stronger? How will you prove my theories for me, Yu Xiaogang?" Yu Xiaogang immediately scolded, "Little San. Look at yourself now, are you still a man? For the sake of a woman, you've become absent-minded and lost yourself. If you continue like this, don't blame me for expelling you from the sect." Chapter 41, The Split Between Little San and Yu Xiaogang, a disaster for Shrek. The light screen critique ended, but the other female characters were still discussing it in the comment section, and everyone was deeply moved. Du Guyan, looking at it this way, this Zyro Wu is really quite pitiful. Although her own choices were flawed, she was also influenced by Tang San. Bing Bing is polite, that's right. The light screen said she came to the human world to avenge her mother, but in the end, even the bloodline left behind by her mother disappeared, and she was reincarnated as someone else's daughter. Bing Bing is polite. If the current Zyro Wu knew that she would be separated from her mother in the future, would she still be willing? If it were me, I absolutely wouldn't. Most loyal believer of the sea god, this Tang San is truly a scourge. Zyro Wu's mother's bloodline was ruined, and Zyro Wu's child was tortured by him like this. Zyro Wu herself doesn't know how many times she has died. Such a man must never be followed. BB Dong, HMPH, what's there to pity? She's just a spirit beast. I killed her mother back then, and that 100,000-year spirit ring was truly comfortable to use. You little beast, just you wait, you will die by my hands sooner or later. Hot girl, wait, you're the one who killed Zyro Wu's mother, Supreme Pontiff BB Dong. Isn't that a bit too much? You killed her mother and are now flexing about it to her face. Most loyal believer of the sea god, HMPH Spirit Hall isn't any better either. It's truly disgusting. I don't think it's much better than Shrek. Needle-tailed Swift, Spirit Hall is indeed damned too, just as damned as the Tang clan. Bing Bing is polite, what a complicated relationship. The people we're connected to, could it be that they are all related to Shrek or the Tang clan? But I don't know anyone from the Tang clan, and I've never heard of Shrek. Du Guyan, forget about them, let them fight it out themselves. What's the point of just talking trash here? If you have the guts, have a showdown in person. The various characters in the comment section didn't even know what they were talking about anymore, gradually going off topic. But from today on, the disgusting nature of the Tang clan had completely taken root in people's hearts, especially Tang San and his father. Everyone felt disdain the moment they heard of them. Inside the 7 treasure glazed tile school, the 3 Shrek girls stopped watching the light screen, turned it off, and comforted each other. In another room of the 7 treasure glazed tile school, Song Yi sat in front of the light screen, withdrew his hands from typing on the energy keyboard, and looked at the long string of text he had written. Not to mention, this was his first time providing such a sharp critique on so much content, speaking so ruthlessly and in such detail. After all, he was critiquing the female lead. By the time he reached the end, he felt a bit dazed. Looking at it this way, why does Zyro Wu feel like a character in some tragedy? She really is a bit miserable. However, the fact that this silly girl is so miserable is also her own choice. It can't be blamed entirely on others. Song Yi muttered, "If you want a better life in the future, find a good man. I wonder what the reward is this time." He waited in anticipation, and sure enough, a cluster of special energy began to condense in the light screen. The reward. Detected that this critique is extraordinary. Detected that this is the 5th critique. Reward multiplier applied. Congratulations on obtaining the reward. Talent upgraded to innate full spirit power. 1 10,000-year head-type mental spirit bone. Seeing this reward, Song Yi felt a bit surprised. Damn, 2 rewards. Upgrading my own talent to innate full spirit power is understandable. After all, what changed before was just my spirit, and innate spirit power also has an impact. But I didn't expect a 10,000-year head-type mental spirit bone. In that case, Song Yi pondered, muttering to himself. Originally, during the day at the ice and fire yin-yang well, I only used the blazing apricot fragrance and the octagonal mysterious ice grass for body tempering, and I didn't consume any other immortal herbs. It was because I was hesitating whether to consume the Hunyuan immortal herb to lay the foundation for compressing my spirit core in the future, or whether I should consume the looking through water lilies to increase my mental force, which would give me a chance to absorb a 10,000-year spirit ring as my 3rd spirit ring. Now it seems, with the spirit bone directly helping me boost my mental force, I can just consume the Hunyuan immortal herb later. Both major directions are covered. I can have a 10,000-year 3rd spirit ring, and I can also compress my spirit core in advance in the future. And regardless of whether it's a spirit ring or a spirit bone, there's a possibility to continue increasing their age through the critique system in the future. It's awesome to the end. Good, very good. Without a second word, Song Yi absorbed the rewards given by the system on the spot. Especially the spirit bone. A 10,000-year mental head-type spirit bone would inevitably bring him an extremely powerful boost. It would just take some time to absorb the spirit bone, but there was no rush. He wouldn't sleep tonight. He would slowly absorb the spirit bone and master it. Shrek Academy. 2 days had passed. The Shrek group still hadn't found Zyro Wu and the other 2. Now that Zyro Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Xuqing had all left and dropped out, Dai Mubai and the others held a lot of resentment toward Yu Zyrogang and the academy. In the last 2 days, even when Yu Zyrogang wanted to command them to continue running laps, no one listened to him, and even Tang San, who was shouting for Zyro Wu, ignored him. That night, Tang San went out to look for Zyro Wu again, but without any clues, he returned to Shrek. Yu Zyrogang had already been waiting at the entrance of Shrek. He was prepared to have a heart-to-heart talk with Tang San, telling him to stop thinking about Zyro Wu for now, and that resuming cultivation was the right thing to do. Coincidentally, because of the awkward situation over the last 2 days, Oscar, Ma Hongjun, and Dai Mubai were also guarding nearby. The 3 men were discussing, and it seemed they also had thoughts of leaving Shrek. It was precisely Dai Mubai who was persuading Oscar and Ma Hongjun. At this moment, Tang San happened to return from outside. Tang San was travel-worn and weary, with a sense of decadence that didn't belong to a young person, and even seemed to have a heavy sense of anger that could be ignited at any moment. When Yu Zyrogang saw him, he hurried forward and shouted, "Little San, Little San, you finally returned. Searching like this is definitely not the way. Your teacher has some words he wants to say to you. He was prepared to persuade him, but as soon as Tang-san heard it was Yu Zairogang, he felt a surge of anger. If it weren't for the teacher-student relationship on the surface, he would have beaten Yu Zairogang up already. To maintain a semblance of decency, Tang-san still looked up and said to Yu Zairogang with some disdain, "Teacher, I'm sorry, I'm not in the mood to talk about anything. You go back and rest. I still need to recuperate and continue looking for Zairo Wu tomorrow." "What? You're still looking?" Yu Zairogang felt uncomfortable hearing this. How could this Tang-san still be looking for people? If you keep looking for a woman like this, how will you cultivate and become stronger, and how will you prove my theories for me, Yu Zairogang? Yu Zairogang immediately scolded, "Little San. Look at yourself now, are you still a man? Because of a woman, you've become distracted and lost yourself. If you continue like this, don't blame me for expelling you from the sect when the time comes." Chapter 42, A Complete Break, Yu Guan and Ghost Douluo Strike. Expelled from the sect? Then go ahead and expel me. Tang-san was already burning with anger, and since Yu Zairogang dared to speak like that, he truly couldn't hold back anymore. With the teleportations, Tang-san arrived in front of Yu Zairogang, staring at him intensely as he rebuked. "Zairo Wu left because you lied to her. I respected you as my teacher and didn't say anything, yet here you are shouting, 'Yu Zairogang, do you want to die?'" At this moment, Tang-san no longer possessed his previous calmness and rationality. Zairo Wu was the most important woman in his life, and the only woman he would ever choose. Because of Yu Zairogang, Zairo Wu had left. How could he not vent his anger on Yu Zairogang? Some say that Tang-san always listened to Yu Zairogang. In the original story, Yu Zairogang almost became his stepfather. But in reality, after Tang-san grew up, he realized Yu Zairogang's limitations and didn't have much genuine respect for him. The fact that Tang-san didn't bring Yu Zairogang to the God Realm when he ascended was the best proof. Perhaps by the late stage, Tang-san had also realized that Yu Zairogang's theories were flawed. Now, with Zairo Wu gone, her status far exceeded Yu Zairogang's, which naturally led to the current situation. Especially over these past 2 days, as Tang-san kept reading the letter Zairo Wu left behind and pondering Yu Zairogang's theories, he indeed discovered many problems. It was likely just as Zairo Wu said, it was Yu Zairogang's deception that caused her disappointment. As for why Zairo Wu didn't take him with her, it was because he had misunderstood and lost his temper with her. Right now, it was already quite something that he could suppress his killing intent when looking at Yu Zairogang. But unexpectedly, Yu Zairogang remained defiant. Seeing Tang-san angry at him, that arrogant teacher persona appeared again. "Little San, what are you saying? How dare you speak to me like this? Don't forget I am your teacher. A teacher for a day is a father for life. You dare to lose your temper with me? Are you courting death? You still dare to argue?" Tang-san grabbed Yu Zairogang by the collar. Having already lost his rationality, he gritted his teeth and said, "Shut up. You don't know how important Zairo Wu is to me. Isn't she just a woman?" Yu Zairogang remained unyielding. "Tang-san, you are my disciple. What you need to do is cultivate well and prove me right in the future, letting everyone under heaven know that I am the master of theory. Are you going to betray me now because of a woman? Even if she has innate full spirit power, it's not like you can't find others elsewhere. As long as you become a titled Douluo, what woman can't you get?" "Bullshit." Oh. Upon hearing this, Tang-san felt like his head was about to explode. He was furious to the extreme and immediately threw Yu Zairogang away, cursing angrily. "You dare to insult Zairo Wu? I see you have already chosen the path of death." As he said this, Yu Zairogang slammed heavily onto the ground, nearly suffering serious injuries, as his current strength was no match for Tang-san's. Dai Mubai and the others, who were watching from the sidelines, were also startled and quickly went up to persuade them, preventing anything serious from happening. They certainly disliked Yu Zairogang, but after all, there had been some history between them, so they shouldn't actually kill him. Dai Mubai and the others quickly spoke up. "Little San, calm down." "That's right, Brother San, you must stay calm. No matter what, he is nominally your teacher, don't harm him. If word gets out that you killed your teacher, that would be a problem. Yu Xiaogang is useless, but he doesn't deserve to die. Little San, take a breather. Especially after Oscar rushed up and hurriedly patted Tang San on the back, which finally allowed Tang San to calm down a little. He didn't want to be like this. It was just that Yu Xiaogang shouldn't have spoken ill of Xiao Wu and belittled her like that. No woman could replace Xiao Wu. Dai Mubai also persuaded the other side. Grandmaster, things have reached this point. Little San is no longer rational. If you keep saying these things, aren't you forcing Little San to act against you? I advise you to recognize reality. Stop causing trouble here. What? I am causing trouble. Yu Xiaogang clutched his chest. Having been thrown by Tang San, he also lost his rationality and calmness, becoming furious, with blood still remaining in his mouth. He stared intensely at the few people opposite him, then pointed at Tang San and rebuked. Tang San, you dare to kill your teacher. I am the strongest theoretical grandmaster in the spirit world. Even the current supreme pontiff Bibi Dong has to treat me with respect. And I am your teacher. You dare to lay a hand on me. Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed by the whole world? In my eyes, you are just an unfaithful and unfilial ingrate. Tang San, if you still don't admit your mistake, be careful, or I will really expel you from the sect. No one expected that Yu Xiaogang would care so much about face, knowing full well he couldn't beat Tang San. Knowing that Tang San would lose rationality whenever Xiao Wu was involved, and even though others had advised him, he still had to put on airs. At this point, Dai Mubai and the others were speechless. Is this Yu Xiaogang truly tired of living? How can there be such an arrogant and stupid person? Sure enough, the next second, Tang San's eyes turned red, and he was about to rush forward to attack. Who knows if Yu Xiaogang would survive if Tang San started attacking. However, just as Tang San hadn't yet truly rushed out, two fierce voices suddenly shook the area. It seems this place is the so-called Shrek Academy. That little beast must be inside. I just heard Yu Xiaogang say this child is Tang San. Very well, capture him first and ask for the whereabouts of that little beast. Swish! In the blink of an eye, before the voices had completely faded, two terrifying figures suddenly appeared, much to the shock and horror of Tang San and the others. These were two middle-aged men, both very thin, but wearing different battle armors. One gold and one black. The two were none other than Yu Guan and Gui Mei. After all, there was some distance between Spirit City and Soto City, and they had just arrived. But they didn't expect that as soon as they arrived, they would hear Yu Xiaogang and Tang San arguing. They had met Yu Xiaogang before. Back then, Bibi Dong even let Yu Xiaogang serve as an honorary elder. Of course, tonight, Yu Xiaogang was expelled from the Elder Palace and no longer held that honor. Seeing that the child was Tang San, Yu Guan and Gui Mei didn't say a word and charged directly. Gui Mei was faster. With a flash, he was about to grab Tang San. Once I catch you, I'll definitely know where that little beast is. Tang San and the others were terrified on the spot. Who are these people? How did two terrifying beings with extraordinary aura suddenly appear? And as soon as they arrived, that powerful, matchless spirit power fluctuation suppressed them so they couldn't move. Could they be high-level spirit masters, spirit saints, spirit Douluos, or titled Douluo? However, before Tang San could even think, Gui Mei's figure had already arrived. He stood in front of Tang San, his body exuding a ghostly, gloomy and icy aura. Just one look made Tang San tremble with fear. Who are you? Tang San asked, and Gui Mei laughed wickedly. Who am I? The enemy of your Tang clan. Chapter 43, Tang Hao saves the day. Everyone is bullying Yu Xiaogang. Without a word, Gui Mei reached out directly and grabbed toward Tang San's neck. Dai Mubai and the others still recognized Tang San as their brother and rushed over quickly, wanting to save him. Little San's third brother. However, before they could get close, in an instant, another terrifying wave of spirit power erupted. Whoosh! A stronger figure flashed by, grabbing Tang San from behind and yanking him away. Gui Mei grabbed at the void realm, but caught nothing. He and Yu Guan looked toward the distance simultaneously. Sure enough, a desolate-looking middle-aged man wearing a coarse cloth robe was holding Tang San. "It's you," Gui Mei exclaimed in shock. Yue Guan also frowned. "Very well, the Supreme Pontiff was right. This kid really is your son. Tang Hao, you were hiding in the shadows to protect your son." Tang Hao. As soon as this name was mentioned, it immediately drew everyone's attention. Even Yu Xiaogang, who had absolutely no idea what was happening, muttered to himself and looked over in shock. Sure enough, the cloak was blown up by the wind, and the hood was quickly flipped back, revealing a man with scruffy stubble, looking somewhat decadent, yet his eyes were filled with killing intent. This person was none other than Tang Hao. Daddy. Tang San was in disbelief as he looked back. He could not imagine that at this very moment, he would see the father he had been longing for. "Daddy, why are you here? Who are these two people? Wait, have you been protecting me from the shadows the whole time?" Thinking of this, Tang San's originally sorrowful heart finally felt a bit of warmth. Tang Hao nodded, set Tang San down, and said calmly, "Little San, Daddy will not let anything happen to you. I didn't expect that even after Little San came to such a godforsaken academy, he could still be found by you people from Spirit Hall. Who is it because of? Is it those girls who left, or perhaps?" Speaking of this, Tang Hao looked at Yu Xiaogang with a gloomy expression. 2 days ago, he had secretly seen the letter left by Xiao Wu. Although he didn't know why, Xiao Wu and the other two girls had suddenly realized Yu Xiaogang's incompetence and left in disappointment. But the letter stated that Yu Xiaogang's theories were supported only because he and the Supreme Pontiff Bibi Dong had once been lovers. Tang Hao guessed that perhaps Xiao Wu also knew this, which was why she was afraid of being discovered by Spirit Hall and left, likely heading to the Stardew Great Forest. Tang Hao had not stopped her for this reason. Anyway, Xiao Wu and Tang San had a good relationship. Even if there were some conflicts, they were just misunderstandings. Since Xiao Wu went to the Stardew Great Forest, he could just go find her later. However, he did not expect that 2 great elders from Spirit Hall would suddenly show up today. And their target seemed to be that spirit beast Xiao Wu, or perhaps Tang San. Xiao Wu couldn't have possibly taken the initiative to tell Spirit Hall that she was a spirit beast, right? Wouldn't that be suicide? Therefore, the only person who could contact the Supreme Pontiff of Spirit Hall was Yu Xiaogang. HMPH. Yu Xiaogang, I ask you, was it you who told Bibi Dong the information about us being here? Huh. Upon hearing this, Yu Xiaogang was stunned. What the hell would he tell her for? He did have a relationship with Bibi Dong, but there was no need to snitch. What benefit would there be? Tang San was his disciple, the one who would prove his theories in the future. How could he possibly harm him? Yu Xiaogang immediately became nervous, clutched his chest, endured the pain, and explained. No. Your Highness Heoshin, how could I possibly harm Little San and tell Bibi Dong about him? Your Highness, please do not misunderstand. Little San is my disciple. HMPH, disciple, Tang Hao sneered mockingly. Do you still consider Little San your disciple? Tang Hao's expression was gloomy. He looked at the chrysanthemum Douluo and ghost Douluo opposite him, and also at Yu Xiaogang's hypocritical face, considering whether to stay or leave. However, when Tang San heard Yu Xiaogang's words, and associated it with how quickly Tang Hao had rescued him just now, he was immediately surprised. Your Highness. Daddy, he called you Your Highness. Could you be? How could Tang San have imagined that his father might be the legendary, suspected titled Douluo? Tang Hao, however, snorted coldly. Little San, I will tell you about these things later. The urgent matter at hand is to deal with these 2 beasts. I can tell you that we have a deep blood feud with Spirit Hall, and these 2 neither human nor ghost things are 2 great elders of Spirit Hall. Chrysanthemum Douluo Yu Guan Ghost, Douluo Gui Mei. Titled Douluo. They are titled Douluo. Tang San was even more surprised. Even Dai Mubai and the others, who were standing on the side dumbfounded, couldn't imagine what had suddenly happened. Why would titled Douluo appear to capture Tang San? Why did Tang San's father also seem to be a titled Douluo? They had previously just treated Tang San as a commoner brother. Who the hell knew that this 3rd brother had such a terrifying background. Tang Hao continued, "Little San, these two are likely here to capture you. And as for the informant who told them where you and I are, I fear it is your teacher, Yu Zairogang. Because only he could contact the Supreme Pontiff, and he is the one who knew I was by your side." "What? Yu Zairogang you?" Upon hearing this, Tang San was even more furious at Yu Zairogang. He had originally thought that Yu Zairogang was just incompetent and had only caused Zairo Wu to run away. He didn't expect that he also wanted to harm him and his father. He truly has a path to death, and it's the kind that deserves to die more than once. When Yu Zairogang heard this, he was completely numb. "No, it wasn't me. I didn't snitch, Little San, don't misunderstand. You are my disciple, I could never harm you, and I could never harm your father. Your father is my idol." Chrysanthemum Douluo, Ghost Douluo, you explain it." Yu Zairogang said in a panic. "We have met before, you can testify for me I didn't snitch, right?" Yue Guan and Gui Mei couldn't be bothered to pay attention to this useless Yu Zairogang. They were only here to capture that 100,000-year spirit beast, Zairo Wu. Yue Guan mocked, "We don't know who the informant was. We are just following the Supreme Pontiff's order to come here and capture someone." However, Tang Hao, rest assured, the Supreme Pontiff did indeed have intelligence knowing that you and your son were here. "Unfortunately, our goal today is not you, but a girl named Zairo Wu. I ask you, where is that Zairo Wu?" Zairo Wu. When Tang San heard this name, he became agitated again. "You want to harm Zairo Wu?" "No, I will never let you harm her." "Oh," Yu Guan sneered, "that is not up to you." "Hey, you." Yue Guan scanned the area, knowing that he couldn't capture Tang Hao and Tang San, and might not even be able to defeat Tang Hao. He quickly looked at Yu Zairogang again, grabbed him, and asked coldly, "Yu Zairogang, you are a close friend of the Supreme Pontiff. I ask you, where is that girl named Zairo Wu?" I don't know." Yu Zairogang was about to cry. "Why is everyone targeting me? If I knew where Zairo Wu was, would I still be arguing with my only disciple, nearly falling apart?" Chapter 44, Flender and others die miserably, Shrek completely disappears. "Don't know. Stop pretending." Yue Guan rushed over, grabbed Yu Zairogang by the neck and scolded, "That Zairo Wu is your student. And now you're telling me you don't know. I think you see Tang Hao is here, and you want to curry favor with them, so you're pretending not to know, right?" "It's not like that." Yu Zairogang was on the verge of tears, painfully explaining, "Chrysanthemum Douluo, why would I lie to you? If I knew where Zairo Wu was, I would definitely turn her over. Would I risk my life for a woman? Zairo Wu left a long time ago. It's because that dead girl Zairo Wu left that my unfilial disciple Tang San argued with me." "What?" Yue Guan's face turned gloomy upon hearing this, and he looked at Gui Mei on the side. Gui Mei stroked his chin in thought, finally responding, "This guy is weak and incompetent. He surely wouldn't risk his life for a girl. What he said should be true. In that case, Your Highness the Supreme Pontiff's mission cannot be completed." After saying this, the two couldn't help but look at Tang San again. The two were pondering, if Zairo Wu couldn't be caught, could this so-called Tang San be caught instead? But they both clearly understood that they couldn't beat Tang Hao. This guy had a 100,000-year spirit ring. Thinking of this, Yu Guan decided to give up. He grabbed Yu Zairogang and retreated to Gui Mei's side, saying, "Old ghost, that little beast is probably really not here. I haven't sensed her aura in the surroundings either. Since we can't catch Tang San, let's just take this guy. Didn't the Supreme Pontiff like this Yu Zairogang before? Taking him back might exempt us from punishment. This all right, don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio." Gui Mei sighed, also speechless. They hadn't found the 100,000-year spirit beast, so they could only take a piece of trash back. But perhaps relying on this trash to divert the Supreme Pontiff's attention would be okay. Seeing this, Tang San was still somewhat hesitant. Although Yu Zairogang was useless, he was still his teacher in name. He asked Tang Hao, "Father, Yu Zairogang is my teacher in name after all. Should we save him?" Tang Hao snorted coldly in response, Save him, such a piece of trash. Little San, I've read the letter that Zyro Wu left for you before. That girl was right. You Zyrogang's cultivation methods for you were completely on the wrong path. Sai, it was also my irresponsibility that led to you being affected now. And you want me to save him? I haven't killed him yet, only for your sake. What really led me down the wrong path? Tang-san was terrified. The Zyro Wu he loved the most said so, and his father, a titled Douluo, also said so. Then Yu Zyrogang truly had a way to die. Why save him? Let him go to Spirit Hall to die. Unexpectedly, Yu Zyrogang's face turned gloomy upon hearing this, appearing angry. What? Tang Hao, you actually dare to say my theory is wrong? Bullshit, your son Tang-san was clearly taught by me to be the genius he is today. You actually say I taught your son wrong, you shameless thing who burns bridges. I have done so much for your son, and you still slander me. Fine, I will go back to Spirit Hall with them now. When the time comes, I will let Bibaidong avenge me, kill you ungrateful father and son. You Zyrogang, if you dare. Tang-san was also extremely angry when he heard this. Then don't blame me for killing you when the time comes. Even if you are my teacher, I won't let you go. Tang-san, you ungrateful little beast. Yu Zyrogang went completely crazy. You dare say that to me? I am your teacher, I am a father figure. As the saying goes, a teacher for a day is a father for life. You just wait, I will definitely make Bibaidong teach you a lesson for me. Enough, you useless piece of trash. What are you saying here? Yu Guan heard this and slapped Yu Zyrogang across the face. We have no interest in dealing with this. Catching you back is just to prove that we've done our job. Gui Mei also sneered. Once we reach Spirit Hall, whether the Supreme Pontiff still recognizes you is another matter. Bullshit, Yu Guan, you dare hit me. Yu Zyrogang was even more furious. Do you know that I am Bibaidong's lover? When the time comes, I will have Bibaidong strip you of your elder position, believe it or not. You are all bullying me. You are all jealous of my talent. I am the theoretical grandmaster of the spirit world. Only a top-tier titled Douluo like Bibaidong can understand my talent. You wait, as long as I exude some charm, Bibaidong will definitely listen to me and defeat you all. It's madman. Tang Hao sneered from afar. He stroked Tang San's head. Little San, I'm afraid of hurting you now, so it's not good to fight these two guys. If this Yu Zyrogang really joins Spirit Hall to harm us in the future, I want you to solve it yourself. Yes, father. Tang San also clenched his fists, his heart filled with endless grief and indignation. He had already guessed that his family had a blood feud with Spirit Hall. For this Yu Zyrogang to dare to join Spirit Hall in front of him, he was no longer qualified to be his teacher. Sooner or later, he would personally deal with Yu Zyrogang. Little San, this is not a place to stay long, let's leave first. After speaking, Tang Hao took Tang San and disappeared from the spot. On the other side, Yu Guan and Gui Mei also left, taking the slapped Yu Zyrogang with them. The entire Shrek Academy was now left with only Dai Mubai, Oscar, and Ma Hongjun. The three of them were dumbfounded, standing in place at a loss. The three discussed. Damn, what the hell happened? Why did our Shrek suddenly become like this? Yeah, Little San's father is actually the legendary Clear Sky Douluo. Doesn't that mean Little San is from the Clear Sky sect? Grandmaster, that piece of trash, was also taken away by Spirit Hall, and he even said he would join Spirit Hall. Won't he come back to beat us up later? Now all the girls including Zyro Wu have left, whereabouts unknown. Boss Dai, should we stay at Shrek? Hearing the question, Dai Mubai's eyes were full of worry. He didn't know anything. The future of this Shrek was now completely gone. And just at this moment, another figure was rapidly approaching from afar. Someone. Dai Mubai was extremely vigilant, thinking it was the people from Spirit Hall who had returned. But in the next second, they saw the heavily injured Flender flying back, and after seeing Dai Mubai and the others, he finally collapsed from exhaustion. Dai Mubai and the others hurriedly went up. Dean. Dane, why is it you? Dane, are you okay? Flender had a large amount of bloodstains on his chest, presumably having suffered serious injuries. He said painfully, the chrysanthemum and ghost Douluo of Spirit Hall descended. I and the other teachers discovered them and went to negotiate. But I didn't expect those two to be ruthless. They directly killed Zhao Wuji and the other teachers, and only I escaped. Shrek is finished. Chapter 45. Tang San vows to kill Yu Xiaogang. Tang Hao reveals the truth. What? Teacher Zhao Wuji and the others are all dead. No way, no wonder you weren't there, Dean. When Yu Xiaogang and Tang San were arguing earlier, you didn't show up. We thought you just didn't want to get involved. So you had discovered Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo long ago, and were beaten so badly. Then what do? Our Shrek can no longer exist. Listening to the children, Flender let out a long sigh and said with the last of his strength, I was pierced through by Chrysanthemum Douluo's spirit ability, and my time is short. I forced myself to return only because I was worried about you. You are all Shrek's last hope. Go to Heaven Do City and find Liu Erlong, the Dean of Lambert Academy. She is an old friend of mine, she will take you in. Remember, you must avenge Shrek. You must ... must. Dane. No, please, no. In the end, Flender could no longer hold on. If Zhao Wuji and the others couldn't survive, how could he? He had only forced himself to endure the excruciating pain, just to see if Shrek's students were safe. After all, they were his final concern. Fortunately, he managed to make things clear before he died, at least finding a way out for Dai Mubai and the others. Dai Mubai and the others wept uncontrollably, overwhelmed with grief, constantly shouting and calling out for his soul. But the dead cannot be brought back to life. Flender and the others were not the protagonists, so even in death, their ends were so abrupt and unceremonious. In the distance, Tang Hao had completely left Shrek with Tang San, unaware of Flender and the others' deaths. Perhaps Tang Hao had seen it long ago, but simply ignored it. Only when they reached a quiet and secluded place did Tang Hao set Tang San down, both of them temporarily safe. Tang San immediately took out a fire striker from his storage spirit tool, gathered some firewood, and lit a fire. The father and son sat by the campfire. Tang Hao took the initiative to speak. I know you must have many questions, right? Tang San did not ask, but spoke calmly. I can tell that you have your own difficulties, father. Don't worry, father, no matter what, little San believes in you. Tang Hao nodded and sighed. There are some things I didn't tell you simply because you aren't strong enough yet. I was afraid that if you knew, you would act rashly. But you can also see that our family has a feud with Spirit Hall. This hatred can even be said to be irreconcilable, an absolute fight to the death. If Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo hadn't appeared, I might not have stepped in to interfere. When I saw that little girl's letter, I also wanted to see how you would handle such a situation. Zyro Wu's letter, Tang San pondered, finding it reasonable. His father was a titled Douluo, so his mental force must be incredibly formidable. When he opened the envelope to read it, his father should have been able to see it clearly even from a distance. Tang San quickly asked, then father, do you know why Zyro Wu suddenly left? And why didn't the people from Spirit Hall come to capture me, but instead targeted Zyro Wu? Tang Hao explained, they didn't capture you probably because Yu Xiaogang informed them, so they knew I was by your side and knew they couldn't defeat me. As for capturing Zyro Wu, it's likely because Yu Xiaogang saw through her identity as a 100,000-year spirit beast and informed Bibai Dong. What? A spirit beast? A 100,000-year spirit beast? How is this possible? Hearing this, Tang San was almost dumbfounded. How could his perfectly fine Zyro Wu suddenly turn out to be a spirit beast, and a 100,000-year one at that? This couldn't be right, could it? Tang Hao explained calmly, yes, your Zyro Wu is indeed a 100,000-year spirit beast. A 100,000-year spirit beast can take on human form, and once they cultivate to the late stage, they can completely become human. I suspect that the little girl's departure this time was because she discovered Yu Xiaogang had seen through her identity, and subsequently found out the truth about Yu Xiaogang being a useless fraud who was in contact with Spirit Hall. So she chose to leave to avoid being captured by Spirit Hall, while Yu Xiaogang went ahead and leaked the information to Spirit Hall anyway. As for how Yu Xiaogang managed to see that Zyro Wu was a spirit beast, perhaps it has to do with those strange theories of his. But don't worry, didn't your Zyro Wu want to take you with her before she left? It's just that you got angry for some reason, which frightened her, so she left by herself first. But since she was able to leave ahead of time, she should have returned to the Stardew Great Forest, where she is perfectly safe. Little San, when that girl spoke of theft and someone who plagiarized to win fame, she was referring to you Zyrogang. Why did you suddenly fly into a rage back then and scare her? Asking this, Tang Hao found it rather strange. Although he hadn't realized at the time who Zyro Wu was talking about with her veiled insults, it couldn't possibly have been you, Tang San, could it? What does someone who steals others' achievements and claims them as their own have to do with a kid like you? Why did you get so furious? That girl almost dragged you away with her. Hearing this, Tang San felt a bit embarrassed and a little afraid. At that time, he really thought Zyro Wu had found out his secret and was hinting at him, warning him. He couldn't let anyone know that he had betrayed the Tang sect and was using Tang sect things to show off, which was why he got angry. Who could have known that Zyro Wu was talking about Yu Zyrogang and had only refrained from namming him directly out of respect for his face? Oh Zyro Wu, if you had just insulted Yu Zyrogang directly back then, maybe I would have left with you long ago. Tang San sighed and made up an excuse. Sigh, at that time I actually had a vague suspicion that she was talking about Yu Zyrogang. After all, he is my teacher, so I wanted to defend him. Father, who could have thought that Yu Zyrogang really is a piece of trash? Tang Hao nodded, not dwelling on this point, and agreed. Indeed, even I didn't see through him before. Of course, it was also because I was too depressed and irresponsible. But at least you no longer have to listen to Yu Zyrogang. Furthermore, since Zyro Wu escaped early, she will almost certainly be fine. I watched them, and the place those 3 girls went to was the Stardew Great Forest. So just cultivate well. In the future, the worst case is you just go to the Stardew Great Forest to find her. Also, what that girl said in her letter about Yu Zyrogang leading you astray, and how you should have taken the life path. Only then did I realize that there is indeed a problem. Speaking to this point, Tang Hao said somewhat solemnly, Little San, there are many things that are not convenient for me to say right now. But I can tell you that your blue-silver grass spirit comes from your mother. Your mother was renowned for her life force. Actually, I should have realized it sooner. Blue-silver grass is found all over the continent, endless and ever-growing. Taking the life path is the best option. Now, influenced by Yu Zyrogang, all 3 of your spirit rings focus on control and poison, which instead suppresses your life force. Yu Zyrogang has truly harmed you deeply. What? Hearing this, Tang San was also quite surprised. He hadn't expected his mother to be a blue-silver grass spirit master, and one who took the life path. In that case, had he really been led astray? Tang San's face instantly darkened. Thinking of Yu Zyrogang's face, he said viciously, Damned Yu Zyrogang. To think he made me waste so much energy, and even waste 3 entire spirit ring slots. He doesn't deserve to be a teacher at all. When I see him again in the future, I will definitely kill him. Chapter 46, Bibai Dong, You're Abandoning Me Too. Spirit Hall. Bibi Dong was still waiting for the return of Elders Ju and Gui, hoping that the 2 Grand Elders would directly bring back a bound 100,000-year spirit beast. However, after waiting for a long time without any news, Bibai Dong couldn't help but begin to worry. Could they have really run into Tang Hao? Those 2 might not necessarily be able to defeat him. But that shouldn't be the case either, right? They only had to capture a little girl. If they couldn't win, they could have just run. Could Yu Guan and the other really be that foolish? Bibi Dong sat back down on her throne as the Supreme Pontiff, her mind racing with all kinds of thoughts. Just then, 2 figures appeared outside. Your Holiness. In an instant, a ghostly shadow descended, bringing with it a solemn, biting cold. It was Ghost Douluo Mei, who was the first to enter. In the next second, Yu Guan also transformed into a streak of golden light, arriving in the main hall with Yu Zyrogang in his grip. Yue Guan tossed Yu Zyrogang to the floor first, and then both of them dropped to their knees. Seeing this, Bibai Dong was somewhat puzzled. Where was Zyro Wu? Is this person Zyro Wu? That can't be right, can it? Bibi Dong immediately barked, Yue Guan Gui Mei. Where is that little beast? You didn't bring her back. Yue Guan cupped his hands and explained, reporting to the Supreme Pontiff when we arrived that beast named Zyro Wu had already left Shrek Academy. In fact, she had left more than a day in advance. Furthermore, when we went looking for that little beast, we ran into Tang Hao, who showed up to protect his bastard son, Tang San. We had no choice but to capture this man to prove our words, and perhaps we can pry some information out of his mouth. What kind of trash did you capture? Bibi Dong was furious. What did she want with this kind of garbage? She instantly flew into a rage. No matter who you captured, it doesn't change the fact that you failed your mission. Did you think you could just grab anyone to appease me? As she spoke, Bibi Dong finally looked at Yu Xiaogang. She hadn't paid any attention to him before, her mind entirely occupied by the 100,000-year spirit beast. But when she looked over, she immediately saw clearly that the person captured was none other than Yu Xiaogang. Huh? Why you? Bibi Dong was somewhat stunned. Wait, what did you two bring him back for? Yu Xiaogang, who had just been thrown to the ground, was also feeling quite miserable. He forced himself to stand up, clutching his chest. Yu Xiaogang looked at Bibi Dong and thought to himself. Fortunately, those two brought me before Bibi Dong. Even though I don't know why they wanted to capture Zyro Wu, or why they captured me. But now that I'm in front of Bibi Dong, I have someone to rely on. Tang San Tang Hao, just you wait. With Bibi Dong backing me up, why should I be afraid of you? Thinking of this, Yu Xiaogang immediately regained some of his arrogance. Standing tall, he spoke up. Bibi Dong, we meet again. Like hell we are. Hearing Yu Xiaogang's voice, Bibi Dong felt nothing but sheer disgust. Ever since she had heard the harsh criticism, learned the truth, and seen through Yu Xiaogang's ugly nature, she had gradually broken free from the influence of her delusions. At this moment, Bibi Dong was no longer the simp for Yu Xiaogang that she used to be. On the contrary, Yu Xiaogang was the greatest shame of her life, and she didn't even want to lay eyes on him. Bibi Dong directly lashed out at Yu Guan and Gui Mei. You two useless trash. You couldn't catch that beast, so what is the point of bringing this guy back? What proof? Am I an idiot? Would I really doubt you over something like this? If that beast wasn't there, then so be it. Why on earth did you bring him here? Huh? Yue Guan and Gui Mei were instantly dumbfounded. Wait, Supreme Pontiff, didn't you love this trash the most? They had thought that bringing him back would absolve them of some of their blame. Why did she suddenly want nothing to do with Yu Xiaogang? Yue Guan hurriedly explained, Your Holiness, we brought him back thinking it would prove that what we said was true. On the other hand, this man is also the teacher of Tang San and Zyro Wu. We thought capturing him might be of some use. Of some use, my ass. Bibi Dong directly unleashed her spirit, and her terrifying aura instantly erupted, knocking Yu Guan and Gui Mei off their feet on the spot. No longer caring about her image, she cursed furiously. Even if you brought back a pig, we could at least eat it. Bringing back Yu Xiaogang, is he only good for making manure in the latrine? What possible use is he? Now that the little beast has run away, can he help us find her? Why didn't you just catch a common rabbit instead? At least then you wouldn't be treating me like a fool. This. Your Majesty, we know we were wrong. Your Majesty, we will never be so foolish again. Yue Guan and Gui Mei were nearly scared out of their wits. How on earth were they supposed to know she suddenly disliked this trash? If you had said so earlier, we would have just killed Yu Xiaogang on the spot. Meanwhile, Yu Xiaogang, who was standing to the side, was completely stunned. Wait, had he heard correctly? Why was Bibi Dong calling him trash? What did she mean? Wasn't he the love of Bibi Dong's life? Why was she calling him trash in front of the elders? And even saying he was worse than a pig. Yu Xiaogang was still counting on Bibi Dong to avenge him, so he immediately barked, Bibi Dong, what is the meaning of this? Did you send people to capture me just to humiliate me? Or is this just a tactic to get my attention? Bibi Dong, don't think that playing hard to get like this will make me change my mind and be with you. Yu Xiaogang still maintained his original arrogance. In his eyes, this was probably just an act by Bibi Dong. She wanted to make him anxious so that they would get back together. But he, Yu Xiaogang, was a top genius of their entire spirit master's world. He wouldn't just become her man again just because she used such tricks. However, after hearing Yu Zairogang's words, Bibaidong felt like throwing up. In the most literal sense. Playing hard to get, changing his mind. Hearing Yu Zairogang's sheer confidence, Bibaidong recalled how she had simped over him when they were together, and she truly almost gagged. Zerg. You. Bibidong couldn't help it. She forced down her disgust and barked, presumptuous. Yu Zairogang, what kind of dog do you think you are? You think this seat would scheme against you? And me sending people to capture you, why would I capture a piece of trash like you? Yue Guan Gui Mei, look at what you've done. This trash is starting to flatter himself. Hearing this and seeing Bibaidong's reaction, Yu Guan and Gui Mei finally understood. Holy crap, so the Supreme Pontiff really doesn't like him anymore. If they had known this earlier, why the hell would they have captured him? Yue Guan and Gui Mei quickly continued to apologize. Please forgive us, Supreme Pontiff, we await your punishment. Bibidong ignored them, merely looking at Yu Zairogang with absolute disgust, thinking that ending things here would be fine too. She suddenly barked, Yu Zairogang. Since you are here, fine, you and I shall cut ties completely right now. Stop flattering yourself, I don't have the slightest interest in you. On the contrary, a hypocritical piece of trash like you only makes me feel disgusted. For the sake of our past acquaintance, leave, I shall spare your life. Having said that, Bibaidong didn't want to stay a moment longer, terrified of continuing to feel sick. But to her surprise, Yu Zairogang refused to accept this. He had been counting on Bibaidong to continue simping over him and help him deal with Tang Hao and Tang San. He couldn't just leave like this. He believed that Bibaidong was just putting on an act and must still love him. After a brief thought, Yu Zairogang still spoke up. Bibidong, what is your status? Am I someone you can just order around? Chapter 47, Castrate Yu Zairogang, Bibaidong's Ruthlessness. When Yu Zairogang said this, only a question mark appeared in Bibaidong's head. No, what are you even saying? I, the Supreme Pontiff, don't order you around, yet I'm supposed to keep simping for you. Bibidong frowned. Yu Zairogang, what else do you want? Yu Zairogang immediately assumed a proud posture, puffing out his chest. Confident in Bibaidong's favoritism toward him, he directly stated his position. It's very simple. During this time I've thought it through. I have decided to return to your spirit hall. Now the student I taught, Tang San, is disloyal and unfilial and has betrayed me. His father, Tang Hao, even humiliated me for no reason. Since you have a grudge against them, I will, for the sake of this face, join your spirit hall, guide your spirit hall, and deal with the Tang father and son together. You, Bibaidong, looked disgusted. You guide spirit hall. Yu Zairogang, who do you think you are? What right do you have to guide spirit hall? Does spirit hall even want you? Yu Zairogang was stunned. Why was Bibaidong constantly opposing him today? Was she angry? He immediately said, I am also an elder of spirit hall. Bibaidong, show me some respect. Fine, from today on, you are no longer an elder of spirit hall, Bibaidong said coldly. I must have been blind back then to let you become an honorary elder of spirit hall. From now on, I officially revoke your elder position. From this moment, you have nothing to do with spirit hall. Oh. No, that won't do. Yu Zairogang finally grew a bit anxious upon hearing this. Only then did he realize that something was wrong, very wrong. From the looks of it, Bibaidong wasn't just angry, her attitude toward him had indeed changed. This wouldn't do, he couldn't do without Bibaidong. He quickly questioned her back. Bibidong, you don't talk nonsense. I am the #1 theoretical grandmaster in the spirit world. If you abandon me, aren't you afraid of ruining the future of Spirit Hall? I, Bibaidong, I have also made contributions to Spirit Hall, and I am also an elder. How could you? Bullshit, Bibaidong really wanted to strike him. She cursed at Yu Zairogang. A trash like you has contributions. Based on what? Your level 29 spirit, or your garbage theories? And what theoretical grandmaster of the spirit world? Without my support back then, would those crappy theories of yours even have been qualified to be published? A useless trash who relies on women. The only reason I haven't killed you yet is out of sentiment for our past. Get the hell out of here right now. Don't force me to make a move on you. What? Use you? Yu Zairogang suddenly became nervous. Bibaidong was just his simp. yet she actually dared to treat him like this. He gritted his teeth and scolded, "Bibi Dong, don't forget, I was once your lover. You humiliate me like this. My theories are all the results of my own research. Who relies on women? I, the Grand Yuzairogang, how could I possibly rely on a woman? This is slander against me. You are slandering my noble and wise soul. Get out." Bibi Dong could finally bear it no longer. Releasing her aura, she blasted it directly at Yuzairogang. The terrifying aura sent Yuzairogang flying like a piece of trash, slamming him hard against the wall of the hall. Bibi Dong already had killing intent. She gave a final warning. "Yuzairogang, if you say one more word, I will castrate you." "It's you." Yuzairogang's entire body was in pain. He spat out a mouthful of blood and stared fixedly at Bibi Dong, trying to find some pity on her face. However, as he observed, he made a terrifying discovery. Bibi Dong had absolutely no mercy left. He could not see even a shred of love or attachment for him in Bibi Dong's eyes. This shouldn't be. Bibi Dong used to love him to death. It was impossible for her to have no feelings now. Was it because he was too forceful, making the girl angry? Yes, it must be so. Yuzairogang was still not convinced, believing his charm remained intact. Since the hard approach didn't work, he would try the soft one. Yuzairogang thought to himself, "To avenge myself on the Tang father and son, I can only use my male charms." He clutched his chest, masking his original anger and quickly replacing it with tenderness, and then tried calling out, "Donga, what's wrong with you? I am Zairogang, I am your Zairogang, why are you suddenly treating me like this?" Only after saying this did Yuzairogang relax slightly. He had even resorted to his male charms. Bibi Dong would surely have to be obedient now, right? But he didn't expect that Bibi Dong could no longer bear it, nearly vomiting for real. Such a greasy, crew-cut middle-aged man, pretending to be a youth and acting deeply affectionate here. You Zairogang, you're using this kind of method to disgust me. Fine, I'll let you cry out. Jiwei Guan Gui Mei. We are here. The two of them quickly knelt down. Bibi Dong said with fierce disgust, "Castrate this trash and throw him out. Since you failed your mission today, redeem yourselves with this." "Yes, Supreme Pontiff, Your Majesty." Yue Guan and Gui Mei were cheerful. Ah, great, they didn't have to be punished. Yue Guan even looked at Gui Mei specifically, winking suggestively, and even transmitted his voice to Gui Mei. "Old ghost, see, I told you that bringing this guy back would definitely get us off the hook. Although the plot is a bit different from what we imagined, we can still be exempted from punishment." Gui Mei also transmitted back, "Yeah, I don't know why the Supreme Pontiff doesn't like him anymore." "Perfect, this is a good thing for Spirit Hall. I am best at torturing people. I'll castrate him in a bit, leaving him with a man's desires but unable to do a man's deeds. We'll make this Yuzairogang wish he were dead. The Supreme Pontiff will definitely praise us." "Great, great, great, you really are an old hand at this," Yu Guan replied. The two smiled wickedly and walked toward Yuzairogang together. Seeing this, Yuzairogang found it completely incomprehensible. "No, it shouldn't be like this. No Dongus Bibi Dong, I am Zairogang. How did it turn out like this? Why do you suddenly not love me anymore? I am that theoretical grandmaster from back then, the Zairogang who proved himself with his own theories. I was so high-spirited, I am still the king of theories. Dongus, no, I won't be an elder anymore, okay? Please don't. No. Oh." However, no matter how Yuzairogang cried out and went mad now, he could not change his tragic fate. In the end, Gui Mei and Yu Guan dragged Yuzairogang out of the hall. Seeing that they had left, Bibi Dong could finally hold it in no longer. The thought of Yuzairogang's appearance made her vomit directly. A large amount of filth fell to the floor, which showed just how disgusting Yuzairogang was. A moment later, in the suburbs outside Spirit Hall, Yue Guan threw out Yuzairogang, whose pants were covered in blood, his disgust obvious. He asked Gui Mei, "Old ghost, you said your methods are extraordinary. Is this guy really unable to perform, yet still capable of having thoughts about the opposite sex?" Gui Mei chuckled, need you even ask? From now on, this Uzairogang will only have the pain of desire, with no ability to vent it. Ha ha ha, and the more he thinks about it, the more it will hurt, and the more uncomfortable he'll be. Uzairogang, look at what kind of trash you are, still thinking of climbing high to reach our supreme pontiff, keep dreaming. After saying this, the two left, leaving only Uzairogang in agonizing pain, looking as if he had gone mad. He didn't understand what on earth had happened. Why was his simp Bibaidong gone? Why was his genius disciple gone? Why was everything gone? He was clearly a theoretical genius, a man destined to be the king of theories in the future. Why was everyone targeting him? It must be because those people are jealous of his talent. Chapter 48, Uzairogang loses everything, Kyan Renksu's probe. After the chrysanthemum and ghost Douluo's left, Uzairogang endured the physical pain, and barely controlled his blood flow using his spirit power. He was now completely in a state of madness. He roared, he was defiant, he was frenzied. Just you all wait. I am the only theory grandmaster in the spirit world. I am a genius wherever I go. Tang San and his father, Bibaidong, just you wait. You are all jealous of my talent. You know I am too much of a genius, so you target me. I still have cards to play, I still have Erlong. As long as Erlong, Flender and I are together, we are the strongest golden triangle. As long as I can make Erlong and Flender continue to achieve a breakthrough, if they achieve a breakthrough to become titled Douluos, and I perform the martial soul fusion skill with them, we won't have to fear Bibaidong and Tang Hao anymore. I still have my theories. If I couldn't nurture Tang San, can't I nurture Erlong and Flender? Uzairogang was right. The stronger the people performing the martial soul fusion skill, the stronger the martial soul fusion skill would be. If he could make Liu Erlong and Flender continue to grow stronger, he would also become part of a powerful force by extension. When the time came, dealing with Tang Hao and the others might not be impossible. However, Uzairogang was thinking too simplistically. In reality, how could two spirit saints achieve a breakthrough so easily, let alone achieve a breakthrough to become titled Douluos? Did he think they were cabbages growing anywhere? Not to mention, Uzairogang still didn't know that Flender had already been casually killed by the chrysanthemum and ghost Douluos. In this lifetime, Uzairogang would never be able to perform a martial soul fusion skill again. Even Liu Erlong, due to the sharp reviews, had already begun to gradually give up on him. From then on, Uzairogang was completely without any reliance, and even the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan would not acknowledge him. It was just that Uzairogang didn't know any of this. Enduring the pain, he decided to find Flender first and return to Shrek Academy. This night was destined to be restless for some people. In the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, Zyro Wu cried all night, remaining deeply immersed in pain. Uzairogang dragged his weak body, walking back bit by bit to find his friends. Tang Hao and Tang San continued their journey, preparing to find a stable place to temporarily settle down. Dai Mubai and the others buried Flender and the other teachers, then immediately departed under the cover of night, heading towards Lambert Academy in Heaven Du City. Only Song Yi, the starting point of everything, calmly went to sleep after finishing absorbing his rewards. He slept all the way until the next morning. Because the system had directly rewarded him with a 10,000-year head mental spirit bone the day before, greatly increasing Song Yi's mental force, he didn't plan to absorb the gazing through autumn water dew. Song Yi decided to reserve the position of the last immortal herb for the Hunyuan immortal herb, which could help him condense his soul core in advance when the time came. A spirit master with a soul core would completely crush a spirit master without one. However, before Song Yi could leave to find Dugubo, the sect master of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School invited Crown Prince Yu King as a guest. For security reasons, no one was allowed to enter or leave the sect. Of course, if someone like Ning Rongrong wanted to go out, it would certainly be fine, since she was the sect master's daughter. But although Song Yi claimed to be Ning Rongrong's friend, the other servants of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School didn't know that. Furthermore, Ning Rongrong was busy taking care of Zyro Wu, and Ning Fengzhai and the 2 titled Douluos had to accompany the crown prince. Thus, Song Yi was in a bit of an awkward position and couldn't easily leave. Seriously, I can't even go out to buy a few things. I'm your young Mrs. Friend. Song Yi explained to the guards. But he didn't expect that the current guards of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School actually included quite a few spirit emperors and even spirit saints. He couldn't even force his way out if he wanted to. Having no choice, Song Yi said indifferently, "Forget it. Sai, if I can't go out today, I'll just wait until tomorrow." Rushing out rashly might easily cause a misunderstanding, and it's not like I'm short on a single day. In any case, the Hunyuan immortal herb was an immortal herb that remained hidden. Even a titled Douluo couldn't discover it, so it wouldn't be lost. He didn't mind, and going a day late was perfectly fine. But Song Yi was puzzled. Isn't Zhu Qinghe just Kaian Rengsu from the Spirit Hall? Even though Ning Fengzhai is her nominal teacher, what is she doing coming all the way to the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School? Because of her status, she's wasting my time. What Song Yi didn't know was that Kaian Rengsu's visit this time was indeed related to him. Over the past few days, Kaian Rengsu had been watching the sharp reviews on the light screen and knew that Shrek Academy had to be destroyed. Otherwise, it would pose a massive obstacle to the Spirit Hall. Especially Tangsan Tanghao and that 100,000-year spirit beast, Zyro Wu. Kaian Rengsu's visit this time was ostensibly to meet her teacher, but in reality, she wanted to gather some information about Ning Rongrong from Ning Fengzhai, and ideally, directly obtain information about Shrek Academy. Song Yi was unaware of this. He simply returned to his room and began to cultivate. Waiting a day is fine too. If I complete another round of sharp reviews tonight and get rewards, maybe the efficiency of absorbing the Hunyuan immortal herb tomorrow will be even higher. Lanbo Academy. Liu Erlong looked at Dai Mubai and the other two, especially the relic of Flender in Dai Mubai's hand, as she listened to the 3 of them say that Flender was dead. Liu Erlong could no longer control her emotions and wept bitterly on the spot. Principal Flender, why? How could this happen, Principal Flender? I finally managed to escape from Zyrogang's emotional trap with great difficulty. The only person I could trust was you. How could you leave too? Why, you Zyrogang, it's related to him again. Why is everyone involved with him so unfortunate? Especially when Dai Mubai and the others mentioned that before Yu Zyrogang was taken away, he was still clamoring to get back together with Bibai Dong. And that he would have Bibai Dong avenge him when the time came. Liu Erlong's heart died completely, so, in his heart, I still can't compare to that woman. He said he would be with me back then, yet he fled by himself at the critical moment. Hess, and now he wants to go find that woman again. From this day forward, I, Liu Erlong, will have absolutely nothing to do with you Zyrogang. Since you are heartless to me, don't blame me for being ruthless to you. Only then did Dai Mubai and the other 2 realize that this Aunt Erlong was actually Yu Zyrogang's old flame and Flender's true love. What a pity that Flender had already passed away. If he could have seen that Liu Erlong no longer liked Yu Zyrogang, how happy he would have been. It would have meant he had hope again. But things do not always go as wished, and everything was now completely in the past. In the end, Liu Erlong admitted Dai Mubai and the other 2 into Lanbo Academy, swearing to Flender's soul that she would teach them well and help them become successful. On the other side, Yu Zyrogang returned to Shrek Academy only to see several grave. Refusing to believe it, he even dug up Flender's grave himself. Only when he saw Flender's corpse did he begin to vent his rage. To Yu Zyrogang, Flender was guilty. Flender, why did you have to die now? You're dead, my golden triangle is gone. How am I supposed to seek revenge in the future? You beast, Flender, do even you not want me to get revenge? You don't deserve to be my brother at all. Chapter 49, Sharp Review of Huliena, A Burden to the Spirit Hall. Time once again arrived at the night of this new day. Song Yi had gone out once in the morning and couldn't leave again, so he settled down to cultivate, waiting for the arrival of today's sharp review task. Song Yi speculated to himself, after reviewing Zyro Wu, Tang San might be next. But there are still others related to Tang San. Maybe it will review a couple of other people first before reviewing Tang San. Either way is fine, as long as I exercise some restraint and don't get banned or audited, it'll be fine. Damn it, if the review is too harsh it gets audited. What is this, targeting me? Song Yi shook his head, said no more, and continued to wait. As another new night descended, all the connected female characters had already begun waiting. Even Xiao Wu, who had cried herself dry yesterday, along with Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing, were waiting in front of the light screen, guessing who would be reviewed today and what the topic would be. Although it hadn't officially started yet, some had already opened the light screen and were posting in the comment section, discussing and speculating. After waiting for a long time, the topic at the top center finally appeared. Please give a sharp review of Huliena's ending. As soon as this title appeared, it immediately drew everyone's attention. There was no longer any need to guess, as the title was already there. Inside the Spirit Hall, Bibi Dong looked at the title, slightly surprised. It's actually Nana. And this is no longer a sharp review of love or IQ, those were just single aspect reviews. What is being reviewed now is directly Nana's ending. In other words, I can directly see what will happen to Nana in the future, and it might even reveal something about the future of the Spirit Hall. In the residence next to the Spirit Hall, Huliena was even more astonished herself. Wait, why is it reviewing me? And reviewing my ending, doesn't this mean my ending won't be good? Could something bad happen to me in the future? Inside the Heaven Du imperial family, Kyan Rengsu frowned tightly, staring at the light screen in deep thought. Huliena, that disciple Bibaidong took in, I heard her talent is decent. Too bad she's nothing to us. But she's tied to the Spirit Hall after all. I hope her ending is better, or at least reflects well on the Spirit Hall. Aside from those related to the Spirit Hall, who knew who she was at a glance, many of the other female characters actually didn't know who Huliena was at all. In the comments section, there was quite a lot of discussion. Bing Bing is polite. Who is this Huliena? How come when it's her turn to be reviewed, it directly reviews her ending? Du Guyan, either not much has happened to her, so it can skip straight to her ending, or she died early, right? Bibi Dong, presumptuous, Nana is my personal disciple. At Du Guyan, you dare curse my disciple to die early. Du Guyan, can't I just guess? Bibi Dong, who are you trying to scare? Do you even know who I am to be shouting here? Since it's reviewing her ending, it's definitely a bad ending. Most loyal believer of the sea god, that makes sense. Bibi Dong, if your disciple's ending is bad, your ending won't be any better. In fact, your entire Spirit Hall won't end well. Bibi Dong, at most loyal believer of the sea god, I see you are courting death. One day when I have enough strength, I will flatten your sea god island. Most loyal believer of the sea god, if the Spirit Hall dares to invade again, next time you will meet your end in the ocean. Hot girl, holy crap, I arrived late and only just figured it out. So everyone is this bold. After all, the other party is the current supreme pontiff of the Spirit Hall, and Huliena is her disciple. Needle-tailed Swift, maybe because no one uses their real names, so it doesn't matter, but I'm more interested in the review. What exactly is this Huliena's ending that warrants a sharp review? Charming Fox, there's definitely something wrong with this light screen. I know Huliena, she's a very good girl, her ending definitely won't be bad. Huliena didn't speak under her own name, but instead disguised herself as a friend of Huliena, wanting to say a few good words. But nobody cared about her at all, and they all continued their discussion. Inside the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, the 3 Shrek girls were also discussing it. I didn't expect it to be someone from the Spirit Hall again. I thought it would review Tangsan today, Ning Rongrong said. Zhu Zhuqing replied, it's better not to review Tangsan, so Xiao Wu won't be sad again. She's in too much pain. No, this Huliena is also connected to Tangsan. At this moment, Xiao Wu was still extremely weak, lying on the bed and staring at the light screen. She murmured. When Bibi Dong was reviewed, it was mentioned that both Huliena and Kyan Rengsu liked Tangsan. I haven't ignored any information related to Little San. This, Ning Rongrong was slightly worried. If the review of Huliena mentions Tangsan again, wouldn't you, Xiao Wu? Zhu Zhuqing was also worried to death, standing by her side ready to comfort her. But Xiao Wu shook her head, her face pale, and explained, it's fine, I'm not afraid. I will learn to slowly let go of Little San. Besides, I've already cried myself dry. I don't have the strength to be in pain anymore. Let's keep watching. Hearing Xiao Wu say this, Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing exchanged glances. only able to continue staring at the light screen. Just as everyone was discussing, the main text of the review on the light screen began. Not far away, in the guest house, Song-yi also began a new round of typing out his sharp review. On the light screen. A sharp review of Huliena's ending. Isn't her ending actually decent? At least from a material level, Huliena didn't die in the end, and she didn't lose her power either. That's not bad, right? Unlike Zyro Wu next door, who dies and revives, gets sick and recovers constantly, Huliena survived, and even has a chance to become a titled Douluo in the future. That's not bad at all. Of course, if we factor in her psychological and emotional state, Huliena is indeed quite miserable. After all, as a member of the Spirit Hall, she fell in love with their enemy, Tang San, and became his simp. In the end, her teacher was made so miserable by Tang San, while she herself was completely useless, only able to survive on Tang San's charity. Looking at it this way, she indeed deserves a sharp review. But let me say something fair. Isn't this kind of ending her own doing? Didn't she bring it upon herself? If she had been a bit more ruthless back then, or if she hadn't fallen in love with Tang San and had focused on dealing with him, Tang San would have died by her hands several times. What a pity this useless love brain of hers acted up, and she indirectly helped Tang San multiple times, allowing him to grow and eventually destroy the Spirit Hall. If you ask me, Huliena is so pathetic she could sit at the same table as a dog. To the Spirit Hall, she is nothing but a damn ornament, a total burden. Chapter 50. Tang San wins the match by sneak attack. Huliena breaks down. Due to some invincible reasons, Song-yi's sharp critique was slightly restrained, but the meaning contained within was still quite surprising to everyone who saw it. No one expected that Huliena, despite being a member of Spirit Hall, would actually harm Spirit Hall's interests to such an extent. Seeing this, many people already found it hilarious. Duguyan, holy crap, this light screen makes it very clear. This Huliena is also a love brain, actually falling for Tang San. Bing Bing is polite, yeah, it feels like a joke. Supreme Pontiff Bibi Dong as the master likes Yu Xiaogang, and Huliena as the disciple likes Tang San. And it just so happens that Yu Xiaogang and Tang San are also master and disciple. Is this a matching pair game? Charming Fox, bullshit, this light screen is talking nonsense. Huliena is my friend, and I know for a fact that she isn't that kind of person. She will absolutely protect the interests of Spirit Hall. Bibi Dong, who likes Yu Xiaogang? Whoever is talking nonsense, this seat will kill you. Does that trash Yu Xiaogang even deserve to be liked? Bibi Dong, great, Nana is actually going to be bewitched by Tang San. It seems I must kill this boy. If even Spirit Hall will collapse in the future because of him, this seat will put Tang San right at the top of the kill list. I am an orphan. What kind of magic does this Tang San have that everyone falls for him one by one? If I ever see him, I definitely won't let him off. Most loyal believer of the sea god, I have to say, the Tang clan members do have some charm. Back then Tang Chen, and that Tang Hao, hooking up with a 100,000-year spirit beast. This Tang San is also hooking up with everyone left and right. Hot girl, fortunately, I don't know Tang San, and I have absolutely no connection to him. It's impossible for me to ever fall for someone like that. The only princess, Tang San, sigh. Although I'm unwilling to admit it, he is indeed very outstanding. Otherwise, why would Zyro Wu suffer so miserably, yet still love him all this time? Although many people were watching the sharp critique of Huliena on the light screen, she was ultimately just a common supporting character, naturally used as a foil for Tang San. Many people started out discussing this charming fox, but as they chatted, they always ended up dragging Tang San into it. Inside Spirit Hall, don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. Bibi Dong looked at the light screen, lost in thought. Will Nana also let her emotions get the better of her when the time comes? In that case, should I not let her go out? If she doesn't contact the outside world and doesn't meet Tang San, everything should be fine, right? Tomorrow during the day, I must properly remind Nana and make sure this child remains loyal to Spirit Hall. In the next room, Huliena looked at the words on the light screen and the teasing in the comment section, completely flying into a rage. Tang San. Why is it this Tang San again? How could I possibly fall in love with an enemy of Spirit Hall? Now that the light screen is criticizing me and talking about future events, will teacher be disappointed in me? No, I can't. I must not have any feelings for this Tang San. Isn't he just a man? I refuse to believe I can't find a more outstanding man in this world. Yes. If it really is the pull of fate that makes me fall for this Tang San, then what if I find a more outstanding man to be with? Wouldn't that make it absolutely impossible for me to fall in love with Tang San? Juliana pondered. No matter what, even if she lost her life, she wouldn't dare to fall in love with Tang San. Once she fell in love with him, it would be a betrayal of Spirit Hall, and a betrayal of her teacher, Bibai Dong. Juliana continued to stare at the light screen and said, "Teacher, rest assured, I am mentally prepared and will definitely find a way to kill Tang San. I will forever be a member of Spirit Hall. Let me keep watching and see what I can avoid in the future." On the light screen, the sharp critique did not stop. However, in a sense, Juliana is just a green leaf waiting to be discarded and sacrificed at any moment. In reality, she exists solely to serve as a foil for Tang San. Juliana grew up in Spirit City. Back when she and her older brother Ziyu were still orphans, they were adopted and nurtured by Bibai Dong, becoming the golden generation of Spirit Hall. In the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Elite Tournament, Bibai Dong, for the sake of Juliana, Gu Yue, and Yan, specially prepared 3 10,000-year spirit bones for the competition, aiming to let the Spirit Hall team win the championship and obtain the spirit bones. And Juliana is exceptionally talented. Having studied charm techniques since childhood, her strength climbed rapidly, reaching rank 50 at the age of 19. She is indeed very outstanding. Under normal circumstances, the Spirit Hall team, led by the 3 of them winning the championship, was a certainty. But they couldn't withstand an opponent who was a cheater like Tang San. In the final match, Juliana and the others almost ended up in a mutual defeat with Tang San and his group, with neither side having much combat strength left. In fact, Juliana and her team even retained a bit of spirit power. Logically speaking, they should have won. But don't forget that Tang San is a middle-aged man from another world. He has lived for so many years. How could you little kids even compare to him? At the critical moment, Tang San launched a sneak attack, throwing out his external spirit bone fragments and hitting Juliana and the others using hidden weapons techniques. Under these circumstances, who had ever seen hidden weapons? Who knew he had such a trick up his sleeve? Juliana and the others lost the match, and the 3 10,000-year spirit bones fell into Shrek's hands. However, this was still somewhat reasonable. After all, he was cheating, so it's normal that he won. Unfortunately, what's abnormal is, does this Juliana have a screw loose? She was clearly defeated by Tang San, yet she actually thought about Tang San every single day afterward, even developing feelings for him. Oh, just because Tang San is amazing, because Tang San defeated you, you think about this guy every single day. Are you, Juliana, missing a brain cell, or do you have a masochistic streak? Finding it quite comfortable to be beaten up. This is also the starting point of Juliana's affection for Tang San, which is truly incomprehensible. So, with this kind of character staying in Spirit Hall, and even being entrusted with heavy responsibilities, how could Spirit Hall not collapse? Inside Spirit Hall, Bibi Dong looked, her elegant brows furrowing tightly. She indeed knew from the sharp critiques of others before that Tang San and his team would ultimately win the competition. But she hadn't expected that this was actually won by relying on the power Tang San brought from another world. Bibi Dong murmured thoughtfully, "Incredible." A Spirit Master competition is clearly meant to compare the methods of Spirit Masters, which is why even weapons and spirit tools are forbidden. Yet, who would have thought that Nana and the others lost in the end, not because of insufficient strength, but because they had never seen Tang San's otherworldly methods? Can this even be considered a win? Even if he used his own external spirit bone as a weapon, that's still not a Spirit Master's method, is it? To be precise, this doesn't even count as a self-created spirit ability. There was absolutely no output of spirit power. How audacious of Tang San, playing on the edge of the rules to win the match and swindle the spirit bones away. It seems tomorrow I still need to properly warn Nana to watch out for Tang San's underhanded tricks. Bibi Dong did not yet know that Juliana was also connected to the light screen, let alone that the user, Charming Fox, was her. After all, that Charming Fox kept saying she was Juliana's friend, which gave others the preconceived notion that it was indeed the case. That's it for today's chapter. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, and subscribe to Infinite Novel Audio. For more stories, check out my other channel AI Otaku Studio, and I'll see you in the next chapter.